Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another hot and humid Nextlander podcast out here on the Jersey coast-ish. It's northern Jersey. It's hot and humid, and I don't like it. Alex Navarro, how are you?
Yeah, I really made a mistake coming back to the East Coast at all. This weather is never my thing. I can't deal with it.
We had the windows open this morning, and I went to go open a letter, and it just didn't rip. It kind of just mushed the fibers. All the paper in the house gets kind of damp and wet. And
tell me about your wet mail.
In my wet mail, well, okay, wow, 1-800 wet mail for all your needs. Brad Shoemaker,
hi.
You got that clammy, foggy weather out there. So
True. Yes.
No stranger to a wet mail.
Nope. That's what I got for you. The answer is no.
Just keeping that ball up in the air. Just so you don't want to keep that.
Look, you can only yes and so far, Vinny. There are limits.
My weather-based material may have
just your euphemisms. We
have reached its end.
What about your moist dude material? Got anything else in there?
That I can. Let's see what we can come up with.
Tell me about Carl.
Reach into the old satchel, pull out some wet dudes.
Y'all used to live out here. You know how it is.
I extremely do.
Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I don't. Really depends on where I'm at.
It's dry wetness.
Yeah. It's not the humidity, it's the actual wetness.
Yeah.
Like I get cold. I get cold.
Yeah.
Like in the last week, I've gone out for a walk at like 4 PM, and I'm like, it's like bracingly cold outside.
Here it's been weird. It's been like in the 60s, and then it jumps up to the 90s. So it just
supposed to be 100 degrees next week.
It is. What a joy.
Yeah, can't wait.
The kids are ending over here in Jersey. They're ending school
no more
this
kids.
week.
They're over with.
The kids are done. They all become adults now.
Kids are being outlawed.
Yep.
Not surprising.
Kids are outlawed. They all work in the coal mines, or I guess they all work building new phones. They all build. She's okay. Look,
yes, they'll be building new cell phones, and they'll be working in the healthcare industry. The only 2 jobs we have left.
Somebody's got to put those Trump phones together. What are we doing?
You know what we're doing. You know what this is.
What are we doing?
We live in scam land. Welcome to it.
Somebody's got to take the already assembled phone out of the shipment and like stick a battery in there so they can say it was made in America.
That's right. Spray. They need to glitter spray some gold on there. We are going to go over some Steam Next Fest demos a little bit later on in the show. We're going to get some more hands-on from Brad's time in LA at the Summer Game Fest, a handful of hands-ons. We're going to get to that stuff. But first, let's just jump right into it, folks.
Hitman.
My thoughts on cars. I have been in such a elastic band of car stuff now. Now I am at the point where I keep thinking, man, okay, if I buy cheap enough cars, maybe I can get a hybrid and a full electric vehicle for the cost of what I was going to pay for before for a car. If I get 2 cheaper used ones, and then that would be cool, because then I can get that tiny little truck and then like some other used car. I don't know. I'm an idiot. It's but I kind of think that's a cool way to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see, because a lot of really strong arguments for going full electric.
What is the used EV market even like at this point? Like, does that exist? Feels like EVs have not even been around long enough for there to be many.
They definitely have, and I'm only regurgitating stuff that I have read and heard. I guess I don't have one. Some people say it's not great. It's not I don't know how to put this without sounding totally ignorant. The resale value of EVs is not as great because the technology gets better and better, and also because there is some battery degradation. It's not completely, it's not severe. It's not like it doesn't run, but you do lose some capacity over time. And so it's a weird thing where like it's everything is politics now, right? But there is like a significant rebate for EVs that you can get federally. Still, to this day, at the time of this recording,
you had better move with haste then.
Yeah, right, exactly. At the time of this recording, but it's I mentioned this before, and I'll just be brief here. It seems like if you lease an EV, the dealer may be able to apply that rebate to an EV regardless of which EV it is. Whereas if you buy it, I think you only get a certain EV that has to be manufactured in the United States, or mostly manufactured in United States. Whatever their like you just mentioned before, whatever their criteria is for that. So it's weird. You wind up in this situation where like when I grew up, leasing a car always felt like the sucker's game, right? Like, oh, of course you're going to finance this thing. You're not even going to put equity into it. Where I've gotten a lot of good information about leasing can actually be very advantageous if you have these rebates and if you can hit a price on the car that makes sense where the resale value is just the depreciation on the car, whatever it is.
Right.
Anyway.
Math.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe we lease an EV and maybe I take the money we saved up for a car and I buy that small hybrid truck, that Maverick truck that's like very inexpensive pickup truck. So I don't know.
Y'all ever drive one?
An EV?
Yeah, have you ever just sat behind the wheel of one?
I have.
I did once or twice, and man, those things have torque.
They go.
I hear that they just come off the line.
Yeah, they do move.
They've got pep.
They got that pep. So yeah, I'm still going back and forth on that stuff. What a fun and wild world. And also watching weird ticking clocks on rebates. And I keep talking to Backlar, be like, man, you should just install a heat pump just before that one goes away too. Cause he got the solar panel stuff. He got the EV rebates. And these are things that are talked about in the United States are all going away with this new bill that's going through Congress, the solar panel and the EV rebates. But there's still that heat pump one. So he's still got time to get in there and get one more before they all go away. For the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some video games.
Yes. Speaking of government agencies.
That's right. Speaking about things on fire. Firebreak. Firebreak? FBC. The FBC Firebreak.
Federal Bureau of Control Firebreak.
This is FBC in the Control universe, the weird and wacky world of Control of Alex. Who was the main character?
Jesse Faden.
Jesse Faden. Why am I
Where'd you get Alex from?
I don't know.
Half-Life Alex.
Half-Life Alex, because it's Half-Life and FBC. Kind of. There's some weird shit similarities.
What is Alex's last name? Is it Vance
in Half-Life?
Yeah,
I think so. Because I think Dr.
Right.
Vance is
Is that right? I think that's right.
All right.
That is right.
All right. Ready? Video game Alec and Alex's. Alex Mercer?
Oh, God.
Alex Mercer. Division?
No. Alex Mercer.
Alex
for some
Kidd?
For some reason, the prototype infamous dichotomy is coming to mind.
Yep.
Is that prototype?
Could be.
That is in fact prototype. Yes.
Okay. Isn't there an Alex from Underdog? What was it? Underdogs? It's Dogs. Ubisoft's
Keep
Dogs
going.
one.
Watch
great
Dogs.
news, guys! I can make all this a lot easier.
Okay.
Aiden Pierce, was that the Watch Dogs character?
That was the Watch Dogs character. So I went to this website. It's called giantbomb.com. They have this wiki page. Characters named Alex.
Okay.
Oh.
So Alex Mercer, we just mentioned him. Alex Mason.
Okay.
Call of Duty fame.
Okay.
Alexander the Great. Perhaps you've heard of him.
Yes.
Alex Van Halen.
All right.
Guitar Hero Van Halen.
Yes, of course.
Alex Cord.
No idea.
I got
Section 8. Do you remember that game?
No.
Oh, I think I might have a piece of a tire somewhere in my parents' house.
Okay.
With Section 8 branding on it.
A tire, not a piece of a tire.
No.
A tire.
A tire.
I got it.
Alex from Street Fighter.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think he has a last name, or if we do, we don't know what it is.
Doesn't need one.
Alex Shepard.
That could be anything.
Silent Hill Homecoming.
Nope, that's not what I was thinking.
Okay. Alex Roivas?
Ubisoft game.
No.
Okay. Nothing.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Oh, okay.
All right. Never played it.
Alex Trebek.
Never played it. That's pretty good. Nothing. Got nothing.
The photo of Alex Trebek is him without a shirt on Giant Bomb, so I think we're going to end it right there.
Okay, good.
What?
Good.
This is the hottest you have ever seen Alex Trebek look. Let me tell you right now.
Does he have the mustache?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. We are talking about FBC Firebreak, again, from the Control universe. Jesse Faden, thank you very much.
Yes. No Alex is to be found.
No. The big house? Boy, I got it all in the front.
The oldest house.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one. All of this, is irrelevant to what I have played in FBC Firebreak. Really, what you need to know is this takes place in a universe where weird things happen inside a level that you go down into with 2 other players in your class.
You're in the oldest house. You're in the base.
All of this is in the oldest house.
Yeah.
Of course, that could mean anything because it seems like the oldest house
Rearranges,
shifts and morphs and transmogrifies as needed by the story. Largely,
so would you call this a class-based shooter?
Yeah, 100%.
Cooperative?
This is 100%. This is a 3-player, class-based, like encounter-based. I hesitate to say live service exactly, because I don't know that there are microtransactions. Well, so
no, there's
that
battle passes you can pay extra for.
There is that secondary battle pass. It feels like the progression is very, very Helldivers. Like it's got a core, very long battle passy progression track that you get for free out of the box, but then there's a second one that it seems like you have to pay money for, but that's all cosmetic.
And it has
I think it's all cosmetic.
And yeah, we're not 100% sure. It did seem like that. And in the main battle pass, for lack of a better word, before you get to the next page, you have to put a certain amount of points into the first page.
Yes, that was the big hell. And granted, Helldivers may not have been the first game to do this, but it's the only one I've seen it in where, yes, you have to spend so much on the first bulk of upgrades before you get access to the second and so on. Can I just say real quick right now, again, I don't know if Firebreak is the first game to do this. My favorite feature in this game, it's 3 players. Mm-hmm. Once 2 players ready up, it starts a match timer, like a countdown.
Smart.
It's a long one. It's like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And if the third player readies up in that time, it immediately drops the timer down to 5 seconds and you just go. But I fucking love the idea of like, oh, this dipshit is AFK. This person went to get a drink and hasn't been back for 5 minutes. We're just going.
Gotta ready up.
Yep.
Ready up. I thought it was actually kind of quick, the 45-second countdown or whatever it is. You know, some games do it at like 3 minutes, and you're like, dude, come on. Like, who's got that kind of time? So yeah, you pick your class out of 3 classes. What we saw in there, I played the repair class that basically we played a little bit before the podcast. It gets like a wrench that can do repairing tasks faster than doing the mini game, which it will prompt you to do if you're not of that class or don't have that ability. I think, Brad, you were like a electrical class, a jump starter.
Honestly, it feels like all 3 classes of the class ability is just a different kind of repair. Like everybody is just addressing a need. It's like the wrench class is like mechanical repairs. The jump, like the electric class is like jump starting electrical equipment, and then the person with water is putting out fires, basically.
Or getting rid of status buffs.
Yeah, the tutorial is very thin in this, and I don't have a good sense of all the elemental or status effects in this necessarily, because it doesn't really explain a lot of them. Maybe there's a codex or something in there, but yeah, it's like you can be on fire, you can be wet, like things can be electrified, like it seems like you can be frozen, I think.
Yeah.
Like those have status meanings of some sort.
And it seems like the enemies can as well. Like the enemies the hiss that come in during the level can also be heated up. And there was some prompt that said when they're around heat, they get stronger. I don't know if that was a per level thing.
It seems to depend on the enemy. Like there was one enemy that seemed very weak to water, but then there was another one that seemed like water did absolutely nothing to. So it seems like they're rebalancing based on just like, hey, in this situation, this boss does not give a fuck about your fire.
So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there were 5 different scenarios that we could play.
5 or 6.
The 6th one seemed locked out, or
maybe that's on a higher level.
Because I think there were 3 on the top row, and there were 2, and then some kind of other thing on the bottom row. And you start, and there's 2 different things per level that you can adjust. One is the threat level, which seemed pretty self-explanatory about like how hard the enemies are going to be or how many they're going to be. We kept it on normal. And then there's a clearance level, which actually seems to add objectives before you can exit the map. So on clearance level 1, you do 1 round of objectives, whether that's turn on all the fans, get rid of all the post-it notes. I don't know, what was some of the other ones we did?
There was the freezing like anomalies that we had to turn heaters on for.
Yeah. Shoot the worms, get the radioactive gem out of them. And then when we put it up to clearance level 2, it would be like, okay, turn on all the fans, now face a wave of enemies and a kind of a mid boss or whatever, a little higher level enemy, and then another section would open up. Now turn on more fans,
and presumably the third level would be they add a third level to that.
Some more fans, maybe.
Yeah, when we haven't tried clearance level 3 yet, but when we went up to 2, I was really hoping the second tier objectives would be both different and more interesting and more elaborate. But in that case, at least, it was just do another round of. I mean, I guess the fans we had to turn on were like slightly trickier the second time.
Maybe,
but
maybe
not much.
Some of them had both a repair and a jump on them. So if you don't have the tool for the job, you have to engage in this kind of input mini game, which is basically just L1 and R1.
It's just a bumpers on the controller mini game of just hit them in the right sequence.
Right sequence, yeah.
You even have to do that when you reload at a station when you go get more ammo. You have to, and it seems dependent on how many bullets you're getting. It's like the faster you go through this mini game, and again, it's just showing you a track of L1 and R1, at least on the PS5 prompts that you just have to hit and not screw up. And when I reloaded the revolver, which doesn't take that many bullets, it was just a few of those prompts, and I was out again. When I was using the submachine gun, which uses a ton of bullets, I had to sit there forever doing that mini game. Like it seems like it might be one button press per bullet you are pulling out of the ammo station. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting there, I sit there, it felt like I was sitting there hitting buttons like 30 or 40 times to get more bullets while shit was exploding around me. It was wild.
So you kind of get down there, and the loop is start doing your objectives. A horde of baddies will come at you. Eventually, you'll pop a big baddie with a named baddie with a health bar, and they'll drop some classified documents or materials, and that's your currency for doing your upgrades, both the battle pass stuff, which gets you better weapons and cosmetics, or upgrades to your current weapons. And the current weapons can get, it seems like, again, from our time playing it, they can get another tier, which gets them like a buff or an ability. Like my wrench, when I upgraded it, I was able to rush towards enemies and have like a dash on it. And then there's perks you can unlock, which are based on that resource again, and also your rank. Then you have to wait, and then you have perk slots that you'll open up more perk slots. So they start you off with like a extended sprint, and then you get some more perk slots.
It all feels like extremely familiar progression for this type of online shooter.
Yeah. You have lives, or the team has lives, kind of Helldiver style, like a shared resource of lives. If you go down, you respawn, or you can redeploy, let's say. I think that can tick back up over time. I'm not sure. There was a perk that said faster ticking back up. We did not, the three of us from the jump, have any issue really on clearance level 1. It was very normal and
not only easy, but just short. Like short. Yeah. A lot of those clearance level 1 missions were like 5 minutes or less, and at least in a couple of cases, we kind of never got out of eyesight of the spawn points. Like you come down in an elevator. I think in every case, I think every level you're spawning in an elevator, but like in at least a couple of those, like I was never not able to just turn around and see the elevator. Like it was just like right there in front of it. All our objectives, and then we just cleared them and got back on the elevator and left.
Yeah, and there's some optional stuff. There's some safe rooms in there. You can get a couple more documents.
I do wonder if there's more to find out there. I think I saw a Remedy representative on Twitter talking about they might try to make the collectibles more obvious.
That would help.
They're definitely not as visible as they should be.
Because the currency is just these binders. Like it's just these open file folders lying around that look like just part of the environment. They're very easy to not catch. Like they just sort of look like standard level decoration.
Like I think the one thing they do is that they do tend to put them in places where you would be more likely to find them, which is to say they find them in the like the safe rooms, and also they fall out of the bosses when you kill them. So as long as you're near a boss, you will probably see where they are.
But I do wonder if there's more out there in the levels that we're not seeing that we maybe should be exploring more for. I'm not sure, because like it's not been bad so far, but it just feels a little bit thin.
Thin and a little loose.
Yeah, loose, light, and thin. The loop, again, on clearance level 1 is extremely short, a little easy for 3 experienced players like ourselves. But the game is also pretty light on, like you said, Brad, explaining what the deeper mechanics might be, like the status effects, are there combo effects? Like Alex was playing the person with the liquid backpack, the water thing. water seems to heal the players a lot or get rid of status effects a lot.
Like me shooting you doesn't seem like it heals you necessarily.
No, but you heal in a shower or like at a bathroom sink. Like basically almost anything short of a toilet, which did not. I tried to heal at a toilet and could not. But
so I think for me the biggest thing, aside from maybe the weird ease in which we made it through the first segment of levels, it seems like there's only three tiers for the difficulty or
at this time
clearance of the level, and we only breached into two. Is that I think they do a good job with the setup before you get in the elevator of like, oh, this is a weird part of the world of Control. Like one was like Post-it notes, right? Like this area is infected by Post-it notes. But then when you get down there, like I think I want more weirdness. It's just almost like zombie hordes running after you.
You guys played one match before I got on, and you sounds like you got to fight like a cloud of Post-it notes, which sounds
like
really Oh, okay. Like that sounds cool. Like I missed that one, and I have not seen much else that. Like you're looking for like the Control weirdness or even the Remedy weirdness, like just the X-Files ishness of the whole thing.
Well, it's two things. Like, yes, I am looking for that 100%. But the thing is, it feels like they're trying to walk a line between the sort of genuinely unsettling weird shit of Control and the slightly goofier, more jaunty tone of something like a Team Fortress, with the way your characters sort of look and they bounce around and the way their abilities seem to work. And I feel like they need to go harder in one direction or the other, because there's not much menace or like unsettling feeling when you are playing in these environments, and the wackiness just doesn't feel wacky enough. Like it doesn't feel like there's like, it's not a cartoon, but it has some cartoon-like things in it.
Sure. Yeah, like the voiceover is pretty lighthearted, and like, I don't want to say it's like Marvel level quippy necessarily, but it's like kind of leaning in that direction.
But you really only kind of get it at the very beginning, and then maybe when there's time to go.
Like the idea of the evil Post-it notes thing is like a funny concept, but the way you go about it is you make them wet and then you punch them. Like it's not really or shoot them. And it's just not really that interesting of a way of dealing with something that sounds that absurd.
Yeah, right. I hope maybe there's like some more intrigue around stuff like bosses. Like we need to try a clearance level 3 mission.
Yeah, at some point I want to.
I think we're going to stream this on Friday, so we should like put it to the test then. But like
for sure,
I think like all the bosses we've seen so far are just FBC agents in like giant hazard suits. And like you think about how weird Control was, like it feels like with things like the boss designs, and specifically they are employees of the Bureau, right?
Yeah.
Like because they all have names on their health bars, like, oh, we're fighting like Steve like Elise
Masterson
Charles
or whatever.
So like we're fighting Elise Charles right now or whatever. It's like they could have maybe gotten weirder with like what has happened to these agents that have turned them bad and made them fight you in a way that you can see visually, like some, I don't know if they necessarily need to be giant mutated monsters or anything, but like Control was so imaginative around the object of power.
Yeah.
And all that stuff that like if there were a little more concept to some of these bigger enemies that we're seeing, I think they could have gotten more of the flavor of the setting in there.
I mean, look, I don't have a problem with an asset flip game that's doing something different than the original game was, and they are just using a lot of the enemy assets, it seems like, from Control.
In fact, let me just jump in real quick here. I'm still playing Elden Ring Night Rain, and like that's kind of exactly what you're describing, and that is rapidly shaping up to be one of my favorite games of the year, so like that can definitely be done really well.
Yeah, and I think there's a concept here that they're playing around with that could be really cool. I just feel like they're not leaning hard enough into the things that would make this interesting beyond the very core notion of play these characters, upgrade them, get more stuff.
At least in the early game that we played,
there's always some value to that. The treadmill has always got some allure for me.
Yeah, nothing in it feels like badly done. I think I just want more because I expect more from Remedy, especially with the Control thing, where it's like that was one of the most exciting things they had put out in years. And if they're going to keep playing around in this universe, I want them to keep getting weirder with it and not just kind of be like, go down there and fight some more guys. I don't know. Like it just needs something else, like another gear to it.
And I do think as something I feel like in the promotional stuff, we just maybe didn't synergize. There was much more environmental or status effect stuff going on instead of just like playing it like a shooter with a shotgun and a gun. You're like, hey, you know, like hose them down, then hit them with the electricity, and like that's how you're gonna crowd control these enemies. But it could use just a little more of a testing chamber or tutorializing for how to synergize with your teammates. Otherwise, and there is friendly fire, so it's a little scary firing into stuff where your teammates in there. But I would like to see just a little bit more of how you can use the environments to interact with the enemies. But I guess on what we did at threat level normal, clearance level 2, it almost never felt like we had to. We kind of could handle the mobs just with our raw firepower and not do too much on the status effect stuff.
We should definitely push threat and clearance when we stream it.
Definitely.
For sure.
Because like I've seen, you know, in the trailers they put out, I have seen some different enemies than what we've seen so far, although not that many.
Yeah.
I mean, it is only a $40 game. Like I'm not quite sure what the scope of it is yet.
Yeah, I would like to see more. We'll get to more of it on Friday. Right now, I would say $40 almost seems maybe pushing it for what I've played so far. But let's get a little bit deeper in.
Yeah.
I think before,
maybe there's hidden depth we haven't hit yet.
Yeah, and there's a whole perk tree in there. It's
pretty long.
I just think at the outset, their onboarding could be a little deeper for if there is a depth there that we're not seeing. That is FBC Firebreak. That is out now, $40. And I think it's available pretty much everywhere. Let me see. PlayStation, Xbox, and on Steam and whatnot. I think it's on Game Pass as well.
I believe that's the case.
If you want to catch it there. All right. Let's take a break. And we'll talk about some of our Steam Next Fest demos that we really enjoyed, and also get into some hands-on business from Summer Game Fest. And there may even be some overlap.
Ooh.
So stick around. The excitement continues right after this. And we are back, and the video games are also back. And Brad Shoemaker is also back.
Some might say they never left, and I never left, except I did leave. But
except
games did not.
No, games have been coming out, and in some form or another, you have seen even more at Summer Game Fest. What do you want to kick it off with?
Okay, quick addendum to the Resident Evil 9 stuff last week.
Okay.
The big thing from that demo I forgot to mention is that whole demo was in first person.
Okay.
7 and 8. This has kind of been like a trilogy of first person games. This was not a live demo again. This was like us watching a video of them having played a demo and recorded it. But the demo at the very end of this thing pauses and goes into the options. And I was like, that seems like a weird thing to put in your pre-recorded, rehearsed demo. And that's them going into the options and changing it to third person, which
in the options,
which got, well, yeah, but I mean, that got an applause. Like, it was just a weird moment because that got they played it like an applause line.
Yeah.
Like they ended the demo with that. And sure enough, this was a large, probably 20, 30 people in the audience. And sure enough, some people applauded when they changed to third person.
Fun.
Are you ready to see your characters back?
They added that to Village after it came out at some point. But, but apparently this will ship with third and first person. It might be the first time they've done that in a Resident Evil.
I think it is.
Still no idea what the combat is like in that, though. It's kind of weird. It's like, hey, you can play it in third person. I'm like, cool, but do you shoot guns? How do you fight in this game? What is the gameplay? But anyway.
I bet you shoot a gun.
Probably.
At some point.
Probably. There was nary a firearm to be seen in that demo, though.
Shoot him in the head. I bet sometimes you shoot him in the head and then something pops out.
It's possible.
Head used to be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe some tentacles.
Yep.
I don't know.
Could be a Snickers bar. What do I know where they're going? These folks are bananas.
So the other thing I forgot to say last week is, you remember I was saying that game, that demo was incredibly dark. It seems like they're using lighting potentially as a gameplay mechanic. Big Summer Game Fest for games that are not afraid to get dark as hell.
Okay.
Because I also played Dying Light: The Beast.
Okay.
And much like RE9, there were parts of that game, I played about 45 minutes of The Beast, and there are parts where you just straight up can't see shit. You cannot see shit. Which is exactly what I liked about the first Dying Light. And exactly one of the many things about Dying Light 2 that they kind of pulled back on that was a disappointment to me.
Well, Dying Light, thematically, the light, a big deal.
Yes.
And it's dying.
Yes, it is. I quietly think Dying Light is one of the most underappreciated games of that generation, like the PS4, Xbox
Nothing
One
quiet
generation.
about it. I know that about you.
Well, but I just think generally that game didn't get enough. Anyway, it was like a survival game. It was like a AAA survival game. Is how that game felt, and a big part of that was that like when it got night was genuinely terrifying in that game because like way harder enemies came out, and also you could not see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really appreciate a game. You know, like movies do the same thing, and granted, in a movie, you kind of need to see what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But like, I appreciate a game that is not afraid to just be like, nope, we're not going to let you see anything. We're not going to pretend there's actually a full moon out when there's not. You know,
well, you get you get that UV light, right? That you could shine around.
Right. So that was how that first game worked, was that you really had to rely on pockets of light or like items that would probably burn out. You know, like everything was like a resource struggle in that game, or you were like desperately running for like the one fire you could see in the distance so you could at least see what was going on. Anyway, for that and a bunch of other reasons I don't really need to get into, the Beast really feels like they are going back to what made the first game good.
Okay.
Which is extremely exciting to me. And I actually saw an interview that another outlet did with the lead on this game at Summer Game Fest, where they flat out actually sort of threw Dying Light 2 under the bus a little bit.
Really?
And basically said like, hey, we get it. We've heard lots of feedback. Like, we got away from a lot of the things people liked about the first game. And this very much feels like they're going back to that stuff. Kyle Crane is back.
Now, which one is Kyle Crane?
He's the protagonist from the first game, which I think is a hilarious way to promote this game.
Okay.
Because Kyle Crane is like one of the most generic video game man protagonists I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like, seriously, if you listen to the voice, it's like it's a fine voice performance, don't get me wrong, but if you hear this guy talk, like, it is just the most middle of the road dude in a video game voice.
Well, okay. Now, correct me on a lot of points here, Brad, but I thought Kyle, am I confusing my Dying Lights with, am I confusing Stay Human where you get infected with the first game? Does he not get infected, Kyle Crane?
I think you get infected in the first game. I think maybe later in the story you get infected. It's been 10 years. I can't remember exactly. But
and I didn't play all that much of Stay Human, and just remembering the subtitle Stay Human, well, maybe I'm confusing it. Maybe Stay Human is where Dying Light 2 is where you get infected and you're trying to stay human.
That might be right.
But I thought you did get infected at the end of one.
I'm pretty sure you get infected in one as well. Anyway, that's the whole crux of this, is that you are infected and have been experimented on by some mad scientist for 10 years or whatever.
Oh,
and
all right. Well, that
so this whole game, I think it's a revenge quest against the guy who imprisoned and experimented on you.
Okay.
But you've got like beast mode, basically.
Oh, you're the beast.
At some point, you straight up go into, I don't know if they call it beast mode, but they might as well, which is just, as you can imagine, you get very powerful. Like, you've got zombie powers in this, actually, is what I'm trying to say. Although, actually, now that I think about it, I just remembered you fight a boss at the end of this demo I played, and I think the guy who was attending my demo might have actually used the words Mega Man.
What?
Because you beat the boss in this thing and then get his power.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, you actually, like, I think there's straight up a cutscene of you, like, sticking a syringe in this giant monster and pulling blood out of it and then just injecting it into your arm.
Oh, I love that.
And then you get his power.
Ooh.
So I think you might actually be collecting, like, zombie monster abilities as you go.
Well, then my follow-up to that would be, do you know if you can attack those monsters in some kind of order Mega Man style?
Oh,
you got to get tentacle arm before you get see in the dark.
I think I asked about how linear it was, and they were not prepared to answer.
Okay.
At that point, but
I mean, this is an August game, right?
Yeah, it's not far off. It seems cool. As somebody who really liked the first game, this very much seems like it's trying to get back to that. It felt like that.
Okay.
Just running around in the city and in the darkness, and like having volatiles, the really rough night monsters come out after you, felt very much like the desperate struggle to constantly avoid those things of the first game. Like it seems like, I hesitate to use the phrase return to form.
I see. Without
having played the final game, but like, I am very optimistic that this is going to be more of what I liked about that first one.
I do think that I love these games, and I love that they keep their online co-op in them. This is listed with online co-op.
Yeah.
So I think that's so weird and dumb and fun as they go into like heavier narrative stuff with some of their games. Like I thought it was fun in Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
It was silly in Dying Light 1, but felt fun to do.
Sure. I mean, I think it's impressive that those games work both ways. You know,
totally.
Like I think it's cool that the online co-op is in there. I played, especially that first game, 100% as a like very difficult solo survival experience that was like very tense and moody and atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool that they seem to walk the line enough that you can do both ways.
So it's a $60 game, at least listed on Steam, and Steam does say, and this is probably good news for anybody who's on the Steam platform, anyone who purchased the Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2 Stay Human will receive Dying Like the Beast at no additional charge.
Wow.
So
None?
that's what it says.
That's impressive.
And it's got an important in front of it, so...
That's wild.
Hey, yeah. That's only if you bought the expensive version. Yeah, the Ultimate Edition.
The
of Dying
Ultimate
Light 2.
Edition.
That's if I'm not mistaken, I think this started as DLC for 2.
Interesting.
And then they decided to spin it off into its own game.
I don't know. Okay, this is where things get a little confusing, and I'd be over my skis here. Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2 might not be available anymore. So I wonder. I don't know. I'm just extrapolating here because you can only really buy the Reloaded Edition. And that comes with bloody ties and a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it was a make good for something. I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know. But it's $60, at least priced on the Steam page. And I guess if you have that Ultimate Edition, and maybe other people can fill us in how that came about, we'd get it for free, and that seems like a pretty good get.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, they're saying this is a full length, like 30-hour game or something, I think is what that interview said. But I was pretty impressed with the demo. I am pretty optimistic about. Hopefully, that's going to recapture a lot of that first game.
That's cool
for me.
I would love a contained Dying Light game, like a 30-hour cap or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
but no, not a lot of like choices and stuff. In fact, I asked like, are you doing a lot of the branching narrative choices, factional rep type stuff in this? And they were like, no, we're kind of getting back to basics on like a tight linear story about this dude.
Yeah,
like and survival experience, which I was like, all right, that's like Dying Light 1 had a lot of great story around the edges. Because it took place in a city where the Olympics were being held. Like the zombie outbreak happened in the city that was hosting the Olympics. So you kept meeting all these international, like side characters, just like little side mission quest givers. But they were all like, a ton of them were people who were just in town from other countries for the Olympics or whatever games were taking place. So there was like actually a ton of great writing around like people who had flown in with their family and their whole family had been eaten and stuff like that. You know, like. There's a lot of like nice range in the different little character stories you got. I hope there's a lot more of that in here.
Dying Light, the Beast. And that, I think that's also scheduled for everywhere.
Yes.
August 22nd.
Yep. What else shall I discuss? Directive 8020.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that one.
A dark. I think the official title is like a Dark Pictures game. Is that how they're branding it now?
Well, yeah, they were more emphatic about the Dark Pictures stuff when they first revealed that game, but a lot of the recent marketing has mostly just been Directive 8020.
Right, totally. That's what I thought. And in fact, on the Steam, the key art just says Directive 8020, but I'd swear the signage at the show said like Directive 8020, a Dark Pictures game or something like that.
I just wonder if maybe they are not getting as much traction with that thing as like a selling point unto itself. Like it is still part of that series, but maybe they are just trying to be like, hey, check out our space horror and maybe not attach it as much to this ongoing thing.
You know, actually, I'm on the official site, so I mean, it kind of goes both ways here because the official site is thedarkpictures.com/Directive 8020, basically, but then on the actual page, there is no sign of that branding, and the text is from the creators of Until Dawn and The Quarry, which are both notably not Dark Pictures games.
Those are the two that very specifically were not. Yeah.
So I don't know, but anyway,
but on the Steam page, their first trailer, Directive 8020, a Dark Pictures game.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to get rid of it. I think they're just trying to de-emphasize it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it's still a super massive game.
Yes, it is absolutely still one of those games. That game is as the thing as you think it is.
Great.
Like, well, maybe more gunplay. It was a very short demo. Like, I basically saw a cutscene that seems like probably the intro of the game, and then they jumped ahead to what I had to be later in the story. And the playable portion of this demo was like 5 minutes long. There was very little to that part, although it's a stealth sequence, which I don't think they've done before. Have they?
I feel like there's been
stealth.
Crouching around or hold your breath or something.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like when I sat down to the demo, they did say like, we're trying to put a little more gameplay into this one than we've had before. So it was a pretty standard like crouch behind waist high cover to avoid this monster to get to an objective kind of thing.
Did you have to hit a button to time your heartbeats or your breath?
I did not.
Okay. That's always been my least favorite thing they do.
The setup for this game was very likable, like very good performance. I mean, they've been doing good motion
their acting work generally is pretty solid.
Like even in the like less than 5 minutes of these two characters talking prior to this space exploration mission, I was like fully drawn into the story. Like the writing seemed really good. Here's the big thing about this. They are adding a mode, and in fact, this may be the default new game mode now, where you can just redo all of the decisions on the spot if you don't like how things went.
Interesting.
I think they call them turning points. Like you can straight up just like go into the menu and rewind to the last description or last decision. Sorry. And make the other choice. I don't think it's for everything. I think it's only for the major story beats, if I understood correctly.
That makes sense.
It's not like every little decision, but the decision I had was full on, like, I think this guy was the captain or he was a higher ranking officer. Like at this point, they have fully figured out, hey, there's an alien on board that can mimic what we look like. Don't trust anybody. And they had what I think was the captain in quarantine who was like screaming at them, like, let me out. What the fuck are you doing? And like half the people were like, no, it's not really him. We have to kill him. The other half were like, no, we can't know for sure. And I just had to decide whether to shoot him in the fucking head or not.
What'd you choose?
I chose to shoot him.
Oh.
And it turned out to not be not him.
Oh, wait.
Which is to say that it was him.
Oh, you mean he was not infected.
And if I understood correctly, even that stuff can go multiple ways. I think they like wrote outcomes for both, if I'm not mistaken. Like, don't they do that in those games?
Yeah,
sometimes they will like randomize or based on your decisions.
There isn't one canonical story through those games, right? It's like he could have turned out to be real or an alien, right?
Well, I think also like there's also the possibility that maybe later on he could become an infected down the road in a different story beat or turning point as it is. Like maybe just that time he wasn't, but maybe there's another scenario where he could be.
Right. So you can play a mode, you can choose to opt out of that rewind feature and just play the mode, the traditional mode where you are forced to take your decisions.
Like Iron Man.
Yeah, that's exactly like a hardcore mode or whatever, I think is what I said. I was like, do you have a hardcore mode?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, absolutely.
That's fun though. This does seem very, I mean, even some of the body horror stuff seems very the thing, right? Like,
extremely. Yeah, for sure. Like, in fact, there's some pretty gnarly violence in there of like doppelgangers getting their heads sheared off and stuff like that, even in the little bit I played.
That's cool.
But what was the last one they put out or the last one we streamed? They've done one dark picture since the Quarry, right?
Let's see.
Like Ashes to Ashes was an older one.
It was the Murder Hotel one, right? That came afterward.
It was the Murder Hotel one was the last one I remember checking out. That might be the last one they put out.
That was a couple of years ago.
Was it The Devil in Me?
The Devil in Me, that was the one.
Was that the last one?
I think that was the last one.
Yeah, yes, actually looking at the chronology here, that was the last one. That has been a little bit.
That was not my favorite of those.
That was okay.
It was fine. It had moments.
Anyway, I think even as of that one, weren't they doing the a big fat timeline that you could go into that just shows all the branching points?
Yeah, they've had that option before, but I don't think they had the thing where you could just instantly go back and redo any decision you wanted.
Right. So this still has that, but like I said, now you can just roll back and pick the other thing, which like they basically just said like, hey, we kind of want to give people an easier route to seeing all the content if they want without having to just start it over incessantly or go to YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's cool.
Yeah,
and it's there if you want it
because it's optional.
You don't have to do it that way.
If you're a traditionalist, you can still play the normal way.
What was that? The casting of Frank Stone game? Was that like a in universe with something else?
Wasn't that a Dead by Daylight game?
Is that what it was? There was I didn't play it because I think it was tied into some other universe.
That's right. That was them, wasn't it? That was Supermassive, wasn't it?
I think it was Supermassive, but I'm not sure if it was part of some other.
Yeah, it is. It is Dead by Daylight is the franchise that's part of.
Okay.
So I completely, yes, that is Supermassive. I completely forgot they put that out because I'm not a Dead by Daylight head.
That's right, Deadhead. That's right.
But I guess they were. I guess that's maybe why there was a break in Dark Pictures is that they did that in between.
I'm excited for this this one.
Yeah, it's cool to see them do even if this is like pretty well worn sci-fi horror territory. Like it's cool to see them tackle it.
Well, the stuff, I don't know if you've played them like this, Brad, but they generally, they do get a little mixed. Okay, I don't know how to put this. Let me put my gamer talking hat on. The mechanics of the games can differ based on bigger franchise stuff or Dark Pictures anthology stuff.
Sure.
But the co-op in them can be a lot of fun, and where in a game like this, where there is an unknown thing happening, like who is infected or who's not, the co-op could be awesome.
Yeah.
But like they have done things before where you are not supposed to know or it be interacting with the person you're playing with because they're seeing things that might be guiding their choices that you wouldn't want to know, that almost seem spoilery. And then when you meet back up, you're like, did you see this thing that happened? And I think that could be really fun in a game like this.
Yes, that for sure.
There was one, I won't name the specific game in case anybody wants to play it, but there was one where you split up, right? And then one player's doing one thing's doing the other, and the player's hallucinating, seeing the other player like helping out, but if they don't shoot them or kill them, they will die, right? Like, so you have to make those choices. And I think that's super cool. Like when they do things like that, when they mess with your head. And I feel like this could be one of those things where, you could see somebody get infected or not, and like choose to share it or not with another player.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very looking forward to this.
That's October, right? Early October.
That's right. That sounds right.
That's fun.
Yes.
Always happy when one of their games comes out, apparently, except for casting of Frank Stone, which
I mean, that thing might be great. I don't know. And in fact, also, like I assume, nothing against the Dead by Daylight franchise, but I assume it's generic enough horror that you could play that game as a fan of Supermassive just fine without knowing nothing.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing with Dead by Daylight, right? Is that it's all very interchangeable. Like they are bringing in like all these like outside horror things to make the Dead by Daylight, here's our big new monster this month type stuff.
So I would assume you could play Frank Stone just fine if you just like Dark Pictures or Supermassive and get something out of it, even without the Dead by Daylight stuff.
Either way, their games are super
Yeah.
fun.
Yes. Very, very glad they're still doing their thing.
All right. What's next, Brad?
Dosa Divas.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Is from Outer Loop, the developer of Thirsty Suitors.
Mm-hmm.
If you liked Thirsty Suitors, you probably are going to like this. It is extremely in that wheelhouse.
Hell yes.
Except they have replaced dating and romance with cooking. I mean, not replaced in the sense that it's literally the same game. They just slotted it in, but it's
there was cooking in Thirsty Suitors. It was more of a side activity you would just do at the beginning of some days, but that was it.
Well, this is all about food. Like the entire, like top to bottom, the story of this is about food and family and that kind of thing. Like you're kind of in a world where I think it's your sister has gone corporate. Like I think, like the vibe I got from the very short 20-minute demo I played, it seemed like your sister has kind of forgotten her roots and is out there doing prepackaged processed meals now and pushing them hard, and that you're trying to kind of. I assume there's probably going to be some familial strife and maybe reunifying with people over the shared bond of food kind of thing. Also, you're in a mech. Like, it's mechs and food.
Yes. Basically. The trailer was that Day of the Dev, so I don't know too much beyond the trailer, but yes, walking around in a mech delivering food to people.
Yes. And you
sorry, go ahead.
You can port into the preparation realm, I think is what they call it. Like, your cooking interface is like another dimension, which I think is very funny. Like you just like warp into this, like it's this very ethereal looking, you're like floating in space on an asteroid type thing, cooking your meals at any time. But you can cook to make food that gives you buffs for the combat, because the combat is very turn-based Thirsty Suitors style. Like it's that style of thing, but it seemed a lot more timing based now. I can't remember how much timing was in Thirsty Suitors.
There was a little bit, but I don't remember it being like super intense on the timing stuff.
Okay, well, this is very heavy. Like they flat out said, like, hey, we're going in more of a Mario and Luigi kind of direction with this. Like it's much more timed on. You can negate a lot of damage by timing stuff.
Okay,
correctly, and you can also time your attacks.
Clear obscure direction.
Yeah, yes, that style of thing for sure.
This looks really cute.
Yeah, it feels like they're just evolving what they did in Thirsty Suitors in a way that people will probably like. Like there's elemental qualities to attacks, but they're all food based. So like Like one enemy might be weak to spicy, or like another enemy is weak to sour or sweet type stuff.
Were the enemies themed? Like, are they other chefs, or like are they your sisters?
In this case, it was like the lawyers of the evil food corporation type stuff. Like
Perfect.
It's very much they're like trying to push a bunch of like prepackaged slop on people and buy out the little guy kind of stuff.
Look, after Thirsty Suitors, I will play anything the studio does, but also it sounds like that game was pretty successful for them, so I am not surprised they're building off what they did there.
I think that game was the first time I've ever played anything on a Steam Deck also.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That demo.
Huh.
I don't think I've ever held a Steam Deck before. I'm not sure.
It was presented on a Steam Deck?
I slid in. I did not have an appointment, but I slid in back channel.
That's fun.
They had a main kiosk set up, but they also happened to have a Steam Deck there for extra showings.
Got a non-standard demo.
That thing is big.
Steam Deck?
Yes. Here is your up to the minute coverage of the Steam Deck.
Timely.
The thing might be too big for my taste.
Too big?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a big fan of giant handhelds.
Interesting.
I think the Steam Deck is more handheld than I want to deal with.
How about those ROG allies? Are they of similar size?
I think those things are even bigger, but I don't know.
Wow. Speaking of big, any other big hands-ons you got?
We should talk about Snap and Grab.
Sure. Yes. We promoted talking about Snap and Grab.
The No Goblin game. I think it's the third No Goblin game. Is that right?
Let's see. Okay. There's the Robot Golf.
Yeah. What was their second game? I feel terrible saying this. So much has happened in the last 10 years.
They haven't made one in a while, to be fair.
Roundabout. Oh my God.
Right.
You remember, everybody remembers Roundabout.
That's right. Eric Pope's Roundabout.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, now here is Eric Pope's Snap and Grab, because Eric Pope is strongly represented in this game.
Okay.
Which is to say that he is full on like the villain or the antagonist of the first scenario in this game.
But when you say that, what does that mean?
I'm just going to give you what's the term, log line here that Dan Teasdale gave me, which is Hitman meets Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
Like, you are a character named Nifty Nevada. Who is the most Carmen Sandiego ass figure I have seen who does not wear a giant oversized fedora. Like she other than the hat, she is extremely in that mold.
Okay.
Like you're basically this game is about planning heists by going into the place you want to pull a heist on and taking pictures of shit and literally making a plan, like a flow chart of the things you want to do to pull off the heist. So
can you give me an example?
I know it's like hard to wrap your head around until you play it. Even as I was sitting through the tutorial, I was like, this is like kind of a lot to take in until I did a mission. And I was like, okay, now I get it. Like the first area, the only one I got to see is like Eric Pop's luxury penthouse party pad. And again, Eric Pop looks exactly like Eric Pope, but is voiced by Justin McElroy.
Okay.
With an incredibly thick, shitty French accent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All you're doing is going around. It feels very much like a Hitman environment. In fact, like I think I made the Hitman comparison to Teasdale before he had given me that log line or whatever, because it very much feels like a big space full of people moving around in the space who are on routes, who are doing stuff. It's like, oh, there's the kitchen and the chef's going to be doing what the chef's doing in the kitchen. Like there's the big pool area where the diamond encrusted skull is that you're trying to steal.
Okay.
And you're going around with your camera taking pictures of everything, and all the like hotspots in the environment light up in your camera when you take pictures of them.
But you can take a picture of anything, or you can only use pictures that have a hotspot in them?
Well, those are the only ones that are going to be relevant to planning your heist. So it's like I took a picture of the guard who guards the pool, and like it popped up some factoids about like, oh, this guard hates tigers, or will be startled by a camera flash, or you know what I mean? It's like it's a bunch of like attributes on different things, or it's like, oh, I need the chef's hat, so the tiger will think I'm the chef and I'm there to feed the tiger.
Or one of your henchmen will.
Yeah, it's not actually you doing the heist. Right. And so in fact, like you can pull up your heist plan at any time and take photos. You're slotting your plan, or you're slotting actions into your plan with photos. Like you're basically taking, it's like, okay, I'm going to put a photo of the guard first, and then the tiger, and then the whatever.
Okay.
The pile of hot dogs, whatever it is. And then there's literally like an execute button. Like you can literally, whenever you're looking at your plan, you can just be like, okay, run the plan and see what happens.
Oh, without engaging the plan? It's like a run a test?
Yeah, although if it works, it just works and you're done.
Oh,
Like
wait, while you're on site?
Yeah, like while you're still moving around in there. Like,
oh, weird. Okay, I think from the trailer, it seemed like you take all these pictures, then go back and execute from a home base or something like that.
No, you just do it on the spot, or at least that's how it was in this demo. But
okay.
And like I was asking him, are the solutions to these heists like very rigidly predefined, or can people like put things together in like unexpected ways? And he was like, yeah, we've had people at this show coming up with solutions we never thought of, because everything is systemic, like all these actions like are, sort of systematized or simulated or whatever in a way that they can interact with each other in dynamic ways. So you are going to have like a lot of freedom to plan out your heist.
Is any of it timing based? Like, do you have to wait for somebody to walk a route?
No, like when you see it execute, it's all done in photos basically, and in kind of canned actions.
Is there a fail state?
I don't think so, but I don't know actually.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but it didn't seem like it.
You didn't run into one at least.
No, I didn't see anything like that.
Like, what if you don't have the right photo in the right order? Just something weird happens?
It just fails. Like if you just fail the heist, I think you could explain it away by saying like, oh, you're daydreaming your way through, or you're like thought experimenting.
It could have gone this way, right?
Like through how the heist will go. Yeah,
I see. So it doesn't. You don't fail. It just doesn't succeed.
Yes,
okay,
basically, and then you just keep roaming the environment, taking more pictures and thinking of more ways to do stuff. Like there's a lot of like, oh, I need to disable this security camera or I need to drop this chandelier. I'm going to like follow the wiring of that back to wherever those controls are, or think of ways to like melt this ice cube. You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot of like
looking at how questions, Brad.
It's like a lot of looking at how things in the environment interact, and that's again kind of where the Hitman vibe comes in of like, you're just scoping out this big environment full of characters moving around doing their stuff to see how everything fits together and really like learning the space.
How big a chain can you do?
I don't think I ever did one that was more than like 3 or 4 steps.
Oh, okay. But
you might be
imagining like a 20 chain.
You might. I don't know if it might just expand to let you keep putting more steps in. I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
And it's a really interesting idea. It's like it's kind of fascinating, but again, it was sort of like a lot to wrap your head around in a short demo.
Do different crew members have different abilities, or like people that are on your heist crew have different attributes?
I think it's just you. I think it's like you've got a guy named Brick. I think your dude is named Brickhouse or something along those lines. I could be getting that wrong.
Guy in the suit?
Yeah, he's the big, like, so almost like Johnny Bravo looking, square jawed, kind of big muscle guy.
Okay.
He seems like the guy who goes in and actually does the heist.
Oh, okay. Again, I'm like, from the trailer, it seemed like there were different. Maybe this happens later on. That's like outside of what you played in the demo or the early stuff. It seems like she's like the ringleader, handing out assignments to a bunch of different people. I thought maybe but maybe that's the case later on. Like it's
possible.
Like, yeah. As things get more complicated.
Really didn't get beyond like the tutorial, basically. I think they said there were 5 locations in the game, but like even that first, even kind of Eric Pop's penthouse or whatever, I think there were like 9 different things to steal there, and each one of those is going to have different requirements. So
interesting.
That's another place where the Hitman thing comes in, where it feels like you're going to keep going back to these locations to do different missions.
Okay.
But your overall knowledge of the space will continue to grow and continue to be more useful in each subsequent mission. You know what I mean?
I wonder if you could do like a perfect run and get them all, or like,
I don't know,
like a super run.
I want to say there might be a mode that's a little more freeform. I could be wrong though.
That sounds really cool.
It's a really very interesting concept.
That's next year, no date, right? That's a 2026 question mark.
Yeah.
Neat. And that's No Goblin Annapurna.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Like I said, the trailer out there, that's great filling in, because the trailer didn't explain all that much. It did seem like a Pokemon Snap meets stealing stuff, but I was not sure how that works.
I see a screenshot here. Maybe this does get quite a bit more elaborate. I don't know if this is what you were asking about. I see a screenshot where there are like 2 characters on the planning screen. It looks like you can set up a chain of actions for 2 different characters, maybe.
Yes.
So I wonder if you're actually going to have multiple henchmen sort of interacting or like doing things in parallel. Like,
and in the trailer, there's actually I think 3 henchmen.
Okay, so I did not see. I only saw that first mission that just has the 1 henchman.
Okay, yeah.
When I played it, so maybe things actually looks like, maybe, especially if you're doing like multiple people doing things concurrently, that could get like super complicated.
And cool, like if you have to be like, this has to happen first, then this other character can do it. Like drop the chandelier, then they can walk past the guard. You know,
like
a timeline. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's neat. It's fascinating.
Snap and grab.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Pope snap and grab.
Yes, that's correct.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Let me see here. I played Lego Party.
Okay.
Which is exactly what you might think it is. It's Mario Party with Legos.
Okay.
Which seems somewhat less devoted to screwing over its players than Mario Party.
Impossible.
Definitely still saw people losing the equivalent of stars somewhat randomly.
Are they using any like famous characters as Legos, or is it just like random Lego people?
I meant to ask about that and I didn't get a chance, but it seems like it's all generic Lego designs and not like, I mean, if you mean like Star Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, are they using any of the like licenses they have?
There's no branded Lego designs that I saw in there, but there are a bajillion costumes you can put your player piece character in, but it's all like construction worker, ninja, stuff like that.
Not Luke Skywalker.
Like the mini games were pretty fun. Like this seems like a pretty decent middle of the road alternative to Mario Party. if you're looking for Mario Party, but maybe slightly less punishing.
How long was your demo? I guess is the real question. How many turns?
It was a six round demo that we finished in probably 35, 40 minutes, something like that.
Okay, that's a good chunk of time.
Yeah. I enjoyed it well enough. Like most of the mini games felt really skill based. Game of skill.
Yeah, right.
Lego Party is a true game of skill.
4-player party game.
Yes, it is very much what you think it is, but it seemed cool.
That is this year, some days, 2025. No other information.
Yeah.
You didn't play that other Lego game, right? Was it Voyagers?
No, that was not there.
Okay.
Was it Lego Voyagers? I don't think it was there.
Okay.
That looks amazing. I want to know if that is single player or if you have to play a co-op. Like split fiction style.
Yeah. Yeah, like mandatory co-op, mandatory fun.
Yeah, it says the Steam does not even list single player as an option for that game, so I guess that is a 2-player.
Get a friend.
That's it's the Lego Builder's Journey people.
Yeah, the cozy Lego game.
Yes. Like the extremely good looking Legos.
I wonder if it is very short or not. Like if that is like a 2 or 3 hour experience.
Yeah.
Or not. Anything else you want to share?
Let's see. Blighted, the new game from Drinkbox, the makers of Guacamelee.
Oh yeah, the one with the brains.
Brains? Yes, you eat the brain. Like you're fighting a monster that eats brains, but then you start eating brains to get powers from things of which you've eaten the brain.
That's how it always goes, man. Somebody else starts eating a brain, then everybody's eating brains.
Would you never want to be the first person eating a brain? That's
just weird. Yeah, that's just weird.
It seems cool. It's pretty early, but it's like a 3/4 overhead action game. It's like I don't want to come like I started to say Hades just because that's like the perspective, but it doesn't really play quite like Hades. It seems like more of a I'm trying to think how to put it. It's not a like weapon mechanic game. It's not like you're going to be getting tons of different weapons and like learning movesets and stuff. Like it's much more of a co-op experience where you're getting powers as doled out by the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a roguelike. It's not a systems driven, every run is going to be different kind of thing. It is like more of a linear, traditional experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing in this is there's a blight meter.
Okay.
Which almost had a little bit of a Dark Souls-ish, like humanity kind of vibe to me of like, they're basically like, hey, like your blight meter, I think the blight meter gets more full as you do well in the game and then depletes as you do worse.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'd have to double check some of the details. It's like the more damage you're doing, the more enemies you're killing, the more blight you get. But then if you have to heal, like if you take damage and have to heal yourself, like your blight will go back down.
Huh.
But the reason that sounds like a weird, interesting mechanic is that apparently the higher the blight, the more the world is going to be like subtly different. Like new obstacles and traps and like maybe enemies or like different, like the world is going to mutate based on how full that blight meter is, but not in like necessarily super obvious ways from the sound of things. Like you might not realize the obstacles or whatever it is you're dealing with are due to your blight level necessarily. Like they're not going to like signpost. That was the vibe I got. I hope that's right, but it seemed like it's going to be very like transparent, like not obvious that things are changing around you based on where your blight is at.
On the Steam page, it describes the Blight as the player's Blight serves as a dynamic difficulty system that constantly changes the enemies, the player, and the world around them. And they have 2 animated GIFs where
I haven't seen that.
One enemy is attacking with a combo, and one enemy is just attacking with one attack.
So that's like that's a great example of how this seems like it could get really weird if enemies like specific attack combos are changing.
Yeah.
Based on what's going on.
If they're not chaining combos together.
Right. So like that actually, like that is some really interesting dynamic difficulty stuff of like you don't know exactly what to expect on just like attack patterns coming out of things.
Yeah. I wonder if that's learnable in a way that's just like,
I'm sure with enough time. Somebody will eventually post their like max level Blight no hit run.
Yeah, or like this enemy at this stage of Blight will attack like this. This will do this. I wonder though, did they mention why you'd wanna? What are the rewards for?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure about that. It seemed like they're still tweaking a lot of mechanics around this. Like they have not made a lot of decisions yet or there are still decisions yet to be made about how all this stuff is going to work.
2-player co-op?
I think they said as of right now they're thinking 2 players, although they're not 100% on that either.
Okay.
And there's a Mega Man kind of thing here too, where you basically are like you're getting the powers of the bosses after you eat their brains.
Eat the brains.
So that seems cool.
Yeah, that's 2026 as well. No firm date on that yet. Just a year. And again, I think that is everywhere as well. Oh, just on PC announced right now. So we'll see what happens with old Drinkbox Studios in 2026.
Yes. I'll just run through the other stuff I've got real quick.
Okay.
Toem 2.
Sure.
Remember that game?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It very much is more of that. Like it's very charming. It definitely reminded me a lot of. I haven't played Toem since it came out, but from what I remembered of it, this very much felt like that. Cool. Do you remember there was like one item you could get to use through the camera? Toem is a black and white game, puzzle quest-based puzzle game mostly, where you're running around solving different quests, doing errands for people, and you've got a camera at any time. You can go into first person and take pictures with your camera, which turns out to be instrumental to solving puzzles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
That's how I remember it. I mean, I think I finished this one, but I vaguely remember how the puzzle mechanic worked.
Right. So it's been 3 or 4 years since the first one came out, almost, I think. Anyway, talking to the developer, though, if you remember, there was some kind of item you could equip with your camera that you could use through the camera in the first game. I don't remember what that item was. Do you know what I'm talking about? One of the big changes here is that in each world, it's going to be a different item now.
Okay.
So like in the world I was playing, you got a hammer early on, and then you could use the hammer. Anytime you were looking through the camera, you could use the hammer kind of from a distance on a lot of different objects that you could see through the viewfinder of your camera.
In the viewfinder of the camera.
So if there were like things that needed to be broken from a distance, you could aim your camera at them and then hit like a shoulder button to use the hammer to break them.
Interesting. Okay.
And they said each like zone or world in this will have a different item like the hammer to equip,
which will just be its own mechanic.
That'll be useful in a bunch of the puzzles in that world.
That's cool.
Yeah, it seemed like they're probably they're just building the concept of the first game out into something more expansive, very similar core, but a lot more to it. Like I did some like dungeon spelunking at one point that felt somewhat elaborate, and there was like an interesting like little chess puzzle in there with ancient statues you had to move around and stuff. Like it just feels like there's maybe more to this one.
And puzzly.
Yeah, very much.
I could be misremembering. My memories of Toem are more like collect like 3 pictures of this or 4
definitely some of that.
I don't remember the puzzles as much.
Definitely still some collect things for sure that I was doing, but a fair amount of like bespoke quests and puzzles in the environment as well.
Not that game different than the game where you are taking those pictures and then walking through them. Remember that game? I can't remember what that one was called, but you take a picture and then you could like get the different mechanics.
Viewfinder?
Yeah, that game's so good.
Oh,
the first person, the first person. Yeah, that game rules. Like, people have not played Viewfinder. You should really play that.
Yeah, not that type of game at all.
No.
This is more of a cozy picture game.
Yeah, like filling out a picture album.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah, a journey.
God, I kind of want to play more Viewfinder, except I already beat it, and there's just can't really forget those puzzles.
Oh, that game was so rad. Make Viewfinder too. All right, more.
Yeah, we could pretty much just wrap it up here. I played Wuchang Fallen Feathers.
Sure.
Which is it's a Chinese studio. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it is a very Souls-y sort of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like I was saying last week, I feel like the default mode for third-person action games these days is Souls. And this very much felt like that. I honestly didn't get a ton from this that I felt like I hadn't seen elsewhere. But it seemed like a fairly solid one of those from the time I spent with it.
Yeah, this is yes, I had that same thought. I don't know if that's dismissive or not, but when this one came up and the trailer came up, this was probably the one that triggered me to say, like, man, there's just so many of these types of games that are getting shown here. This is Lean Z Games, published by 505.
Yeah, Lean Z, I believe, is the developer.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting this from reading about it on Steam here, but it says it's set in the late Ming Dynasty. So I mean, it's a much more like Chinese history focused or tinged setting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different in that way. But yeah, it felt pretty familiar in terms of. It seemed like there was a lot of depth to the combat that I was not able to get in a demo. Like there were a lot of like kind of charging, not meters as such, because you didn't see a meter, but you're sort of like gaining a certain type of energy by doing perfect dodges and things like that, and then you can cash that energy in on certain attacks that you can't do normally, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So there may be some uniqueness in the combat in the way that like a Sekiro or a Bloodborne had twists on the formula.
Yeah, get good.
I think there's probably some novel mechanics in the combat there, but definitely very kind of familiar template.
Would this be in the, was it Wuxia?
Wuxia?
Yeah.
Wuxia. Yeah, I didn't see a ton of like high flying, like wirework style kung fu ish sorts of stuff in this.
A lot of fun swordplay.
Yeah.
All right. Is anything else, Brad?
I think that's it. With the exception of Ratatan.
With the exception of
I love
Ratatan.
a segue.
Yeah, which also was in the Next Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I had an appointment for it, so I went ahead and played it there and met the developers, which was fun.
Well, let's start with you, Brad. Alex, you played the Next Fest demo.
I did play the Next Fest demo a little bit, yeah.
Apparently this was a bigger demo. Apparently at the show, the demo at the show had like an extra area in it or something.
Oh.
Yeah, this demo felt pretty slight, I gotta say.
Also, frankly, like it was day 3 and I was pretty sleep deprived and it was kind of loud on the floor and I was not doing the best. And at one point they cheated me a bunch of extra currency and abilities. So I had that going for me.
Great. Well, what is the, if you're familiar with Patapon, would you be familiar with the concept here?
Extremely.
Okay.
But this is more of a roguelike. I don't know how much of that is in the Steam demo.
The demo was very just like showing you the mechanics and just kind of having you work through kind of like the tutorial stuff. And then there's like a little bit of, it seemed like there was a little bit past there, but it's more just like, hey, check out how the rhythm mechanics work.
Oh, so is the hub in that demo at all? Like the town
I didn't
that you
get
go back
to it if it was in there.
Oh, okay. Well, that seems huge then. This is very much a run-based, like you're going out on runs to these locations and earning currency and then going back to your town to upgrade stuff.
Yeah.
So like it is full on a run-based, like, and they even do the roguelike thing of like finish a wave of enemies in a level and then get the like pop-up of 3 cards. I feel like we need a term for that from roguelikes of just like, here's 3 cards of 3 different drops, you can pick one.
It's your draw.
Right. Yeah.
Like your draw, sure. Like,
yeah.
But it's very much like you're both picking items on the run to use on the run and then not have later, and you're also getting permanent currency to go back to this town.
Okay.
To upgrade like buildings that gets just like, okay, now I can bring more troops with me, or I can upgrade this and that. Now these new things will appear on future runs. But it is 100% Patapon of rhythm based, like you're constantly doing little rhythm controller button tap actions to issue orders to your stuff, to your people.
From people who made Patapon, right?
Yeah, as the developers of those games.
Yeah, this is not accidental or just lifting.
And they kick-started this quite a while ago, I want to say.
Okay.
Does that sound right? I believe that's right.
I think you're right about that. How was the localization in the one you played? Because the one I played, the Next Fest demo, it seemed a little like incomplete.
It seemed fine to me.
Okay.
There
was some text stuff in there that seemed like maybe they had not done their full edit pass on yet.
I don't remember anything jumping out at me as seeming weird in that regard.
Okay.
Seemed fine.
That's interesting.
I will say it didn't do a whole lot for me mechanically. Like the rhythm action stuff, seems okay. Like I like the little commanding the little dudes with the different like beat matching pattern stuff, but I just didn't get a lot out of it. And maybe it's one of those I just need to spend more time with it, but like my initial impression was like, this is cute. That was kind of what I got out of it.
For me, it was when I started seeing the global progression in the town, of like, now there's stuff to chase here,
Yeah.
Like there is slowly improving your army and getting new abilities. And also there's a ton of selectable characters here, which I don't know if that's in the demo.
Like different types of characters?
It didn't seem like there was a lot. Like there were like 3 or 4, I think you could choose from.
I think there were like 8.
Okay.
It feels like there were like 8 or 10 different playable characters in this, each of which has like a different set of abilities, like a different army type. So there's like a lot of variability in like what you bring into the mission. It seems like.
So for people who never played Patapon or weren't interested or missed it, it's there's basically it's like a rhythm game, right?
It's a side-scrolling rhythm game. It's a side scroller where you're moving a character around. Although I don't remember, did you have the like big avatar character in those games or not? Maybe you didn't.
I thought there was somebody controlling the little Patapons.
I can't remember. In this, you're explicitly moving your playable character around manually. Like back and forth, maybe dodge and jump and stuff, but you're still issuing commands to your minions to move back and forth and block and do special attacks and stuff.
Because maybe in the original or the sequel, you could use the D-pad or something to have them roll out of the way.
I can't remember.
Geez, I could be thinking of something else.
There's definitely a strong element of like anticipating attacks in this because there's enough lead time on you can only issue commands on the beat, right? So you have to wait for the next. You have to wait for the next bar to give the next command, so you've got to be ahead of the game a little bit to move them around.
Can you get a fever?
Probably. I'm not sure.
They all shout fever.
Yeah.
Fever!
There's a lot of vaguely Japanese sort of like, sing-songy kind of like dialogue happening in the background. It seems like they're kind of, it's I would describe it as like vaguely Katamari-esque in terms of like the way it sort of applies, it seems, its character dialogue.
It looks very Patapon, and that's okay because I'm in the headspace for some Patapon. It's been long enough.
You can just play Patapon, right? It's out there.
Could I?
You can play it.
This feels like a modern take on that because, like I said, it's all roguelike-y with like meta progression and kind of feels like more of a complete game.
This feels like one of those games when I play the complete thing, I will probably be way into it. The demo just didn't quite hook me.
Seems like it would be a great Switch game. Like this would be a great because the missions are pretty short and there's a lot of downtime. Like you basically get through a couple waves and fight a boss, and then like in fact you're going through gates. Like when you're in a mission, you're going through. It's like here's each sequence is like 5 minutes long, and then you hit a gate where you pick a new item. So there were like tons of opportunities to just like pause your Switch and put it to sleep. It seems like a good portable game. If
only they had an announced Switch 2 SKU. Surely this will come out for the Switch 2.
I'm pretty sure Switch games from now on will probably run pretty well on both.
Surely.
Or maybe not run well on both, but what I mean is I'm sure they have an eye towards Switch 2 compatibility.
Brad, they talk about release dates on the... They're saying July 24th here on the Steam page. Do you know if does that ring a bell?
I would assume. I can't remember. I might have asked them about that.
But then it's on the IGDB on the Internet Games Database. They're saying that's an early access date. But,
I believe it is launching in early access. Actually,
it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now that I think about it,
cool. I like it. Or I like what I see of it.
Yeah,
that could be fun. The kids need a new Patapon, and why not go get a Ratatan? Patapon and Ratatan combine the worlds. All right, well, that'll segue us into the Steam Next Fest stuff. We played a bunch of those. Ratatan is one of those games, but there are some other ones there. Probably the one that has been getting a lot of talk is that Ball X Pit game, Ball Cross Pit, Ball Pit.
I'm just calling it Ball Pit. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And I got to tell you right now, it's a real problem having to tell people that one of my new favorite things I have played is the thing called Ball Pit. It reminds me a lot of recently when I discovered this great 90s alternative band that I'd never heard of before, and they were called Sex Pod. And I have to explain to people why Sex Pod is good. Now I have to tell people why I'm obsessed with Ball Pit. Thanks for that.
Tell me why you're obsessed with Ball Pit.
It's just kind of hitting a lot of those notes for me. So this is a game that is a mixture of Arkanoid and a vaguely sort of like I don't know, how do I describe this? It's sort of like, the way it was pitched to me was, hey, you like Vampire Survivors, you might like this. Okay. It's not quite that. It does have an auto-fire mechanic, but you don't have to use it. But the idea is your character is going on these runs, you are shooting balls at waves of enemies that are just coming at you at all times. They are blocks in the shapes, not exactly tetraminos, but like, they have like, one is like a square with a curve, one is like an L shape, that kind of thing. And they all have different levels of strength based on, you know, what kind of demon is hanging out in that cube.
And they're coming down almost like a breakout style.
Yeah, it's a constant move, but there's also 3 speed levels you can set, and one of the goals is to beat the level on the highest speed level if you can. There are multiple characters. They have their own default abilities, but a lot of those default abilities can also be accessed as pickups in the world if you want to use them. And it's the same Vampire Survivors thing of you get X number of weapons and then you get X number of bonus items you can use to boost that.
And you can combine, you can do some fission, you can do some fusion, some fission.
And so when you have all those different weapons, what they do is they shoot balls out, the special balls, in an order. So like when you start, you have one special ball, and then there's a bunch of what they call baby balls, which I'm going to say again, the way you are phrasing things in this video game is making it very difficult to talk about. But the baby balls do less damage, but there are more of them. So, but then you start getting more of the special balls on top of that, and those can kind of combine. They can do more damage. They create status effects. And then over time, you can actually either fuse or combine some of those weapons into new weapon types.
And then if the row hits the bottom of the screen or gets parallel to you, you get attacked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And then so what are your favorite balls?
Oh, Vinny. I mean, that's a really tough question to ask someone like me. I have so many favorite balls.
You like that ghost ball? That one that goes through?
I think the ghost ball's okay. It's not really where I go. I lean more toward the status effecty stuff of like, you know, the ice and the lightning and things like that. The first one you get.
Vampire ball.
Yeah, the vampire ball is good. The first character that's default and unlocked, it's a bloody ball. It's the bleed effect. So, you know, you're drenching blood with your balls all over the place.
Yeah. Bloody balls.
Yeah. But so, I mean, it's basically you're just playing Arkanoid or Breakout or whatever with these enemies, and then you get a boss at the end. Yeah, exactly.
Can I make Alleyway my reference point?
Sure,
by all means. And at the end, there's a boss of the level, and when you get to that boss, there's like 2 sub-bosses that happen, but then when you get to the end, it starts moving backward, and the boss is moving toward you, and you are trying to get that thing down before it just fucking wastes you.
There's no like element of base defense.
Not base defense. There is a base building element between runs.
Oh yeah. I meant mid level because you know some of the. I guess they're blocks that you're breaking because this is a block breaking game, right? Like in the levels, some of the structures look almost like buildings, but I guess. I do see the base building thing, which is separate. In fact, I was going to ask if this has a Vampire Survivor style stuff to unlock in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stuff like you're building buildings in your home base. You can also like resource farm areas, like if you need more wheat or wood or stone, you can just like put little sections for that. And then if you want to harvest that stuff, you literally play Breakout again and launch your citizens into the area where that stuff is, and they start bouncing around and collecting stuff. And that's also how you do construction. Like they will bounce off the things that are being constructed, and that is how they are built.
All right.
So you kind of want to arrange your plots in a way that your villager will trample over the most,
yes,
right?
Maximum ricochet.
And then you aim for the ricochet. It's really got...
This is my favorite thing.
It combines so many weird things. I think the thing that I haven't quite gotten to is the Vampire Survivor overload part where you've broken the game, right? Where I
haven't hit that point yet. Like I've gotten some characters leveled up. There's only 3 in the demo that you can unlock, and they play somewhat differently, but you know, it is still basically the same concept. I have found that as you level them up, they do get more powerful, but I have not hit a point where I felt like I'm just bowling through that first level.
How have you glossed over the part where in this game apparently you are rebuilding Balbalon?
Look, man.
That's right.
How many ball puns can I work into one segment here, okay?
This seems pretty rad.
It's great. It's genuinely very fun.
Yeah. It's got one of those like I got a good combo of weapons. Like I am...
No, it's that Vampire Survivors thing of you get the right combo of things coming to you and you learn how to sort of build off of them, and then like suddenly, yes, you are a fucking death machine. Though, I mean, again, within limits, because you have not leveled up necessarily your characters enough to be a full-on death machine.
Does this play well on a controller with sticks?
That's how I played it, was on a controller.
Okay.
Same here, yeah.
Okay,
just with the aiming seemed fine.
Seems like another good portable game. I mean, a lot of this is just influenced by there being a new handheld on the market that I actually kind of want to use again.
No, I think this would totally work on a Switch or a Steam Deck just fine.
I could be wrong, but I think this might be either a very small or solo development squad.
I think the lead developer, like the developer's name is just the guy who is the lead developer. I think, though, I mean, as we have learned time and time again, solo devs are never actually solo devs. There are people who come in and do extra work on that stuff as well.
Yeah, but it could be. I guess what I was more implying was like maybe this is in that Balatro Vampire Survivors, very small, and takes the internet by storm contender thing. Those are always crack me up because they're at the end of the year when they're going up for accolades against multi-trillion-dollar games, and they're like, no, Balatro is actually our favorite game. Just like,
oh, you mean it was the best game of 2024? Yes, it was.
So those always make me laugh. So yeah, ball cross pit, ball X pit, ball pit. Say somebody's got to say it. I should go watch the Devolver thing. I'm sure they must say it in there somewhere. I think it was their showpiece game or the only thing that they were shown. That's what is that out? I think that's just
2025 is what the Steam page says.
Okay, so just this year, sometime this year. We're running out of 2025. Heads up, so gotta get those games out there. Unless you're gonna push it. Do you guys remember Dispatch?
Yes, the like superhero dispatch game.
Yes, like kind of Telltale looking.
Yes, very well animated and also very dense with voice work. They had a demo for that out. I got a sense of the early gameplay. The demo's fairly short, but you do get a pretty good dose of the cinematic stuff that's going to be in that game, which is very well done. And then the gameplay, which is you have a roster of Suicide Squad like heroes that are now the rogues, let's say, is your team. The setup is in this world, superheroes get dispatched for incidents, right? Like, hey, go save my cat. There's a break-in here. Somebody needs to make an appearance at the mayor. And you play as the dispatcher. There's more side story stuff here, but the main thing is you play as a dispatcher and you're assigning heroes that have different abilities or different strengths to match what you think the situation may need, right? Like, hey, there's a cat stuck in a high tree. You probably want to dispatch a hero that can move vertically, right? Maybe has flight, maybe has no problem scaling stuff, but also isn't going to scare the shit out of somebody, right? So like if, it's a kid whose cat is up there or it's a kid in a tree, right? I
don't think I realized there's an actual like mechanics driven game to the dispatching here. Like, all the stuff they had shown previously made me think this was purely a Telltale style like narrative adventure. And the dispatching part was just the backdrop to the story. I had no idea because like this sure does look like a fairly hardcore management sim type thing.
Yeah, the dispatching from what I played in the demo, and it's a pretty light, or I should say, fairly short demo. It doesn't get overly involved. You're trying to match up the strengths with what you think the situation needs, and then you get ranked on that. I'm not sure what happens really after that. I think it is a lot of heavy narrative stuff that you're really angling for here versus maybe the gameplay, which is second banana.
Did we know that Jeffrey Wright is in this game?
Who's Jeffrey Wright?
The actor. I maybe remember that coming up when that game first was announced, but I had definitely forgotten about it.
Okay. Like, I think they led with Aaron Paul, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
I think you're right.
Like, I knew about Aaron Paul, but like Jeffrey Wright feels like an actual actor-ass actor. I mean, so does Aaron Paul.
I mean, Jeffrey Wright is definitely one of the, like, more visible character actors we still have working today.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of accomplished voice actors in this as well, but, like, that's a dude I know from big movies,
Does it say which character Jeffrey Wright plays?
Does not.
Okay. I'm assuming he plays the older guy.
That's kind of his thing. Is like older, slightly quiet, slightly gruff characters.
Very swear, like very.
Oh, they cuss. Yeah, he can cuss.
Okay,
he's in Casino Royale, for example.
I gotta remember what he looks like. But there's a character who's your mentor who has, I think his setup is he's like super fast, but also ages super fast and has every time he uses his power. So he looks like he's like 70, but he's really like 35. And he is very gruff and grumpy, and does a great job. The voice acting was very, very good. So yeah, I had a lot of fun in the demo. The gameplay part didn't hook me as much, but like I said, I think for me, I probably just want to see what happens with the narrative.
You want the narrative, yeah.
Yeah. You do make some choices. I don't know who will remember this, but you do make some choices along the way.
Jeffrey Wright will remember this.
There are a lot of user reviews on that demo.
It was one of the more popular ones, I think.
And they are overwhelmingly positive.
It was pretty it was a popping the demo popped. Like it's like very well animated and acted.
I'm immediately more interested in this, knowing that there's like the actual strategy layer to the dispatching now.
Yeah, you should, if you get a chance and the demo's still around, you should give it a shot. It takes a little while to get going. The actual gameplay is not highlighted as much as the kind of cinematic stuff or the narrative interactive stuff.
Right.
Writing was pretty fun too. Other demo stuff, Baby Steps.
Yeah, this is
what a silly demo.
Waiting for.
It's exactly what you thought that game was.
Yeah. Just up at the top here, I will say one of the people who worked on it is a former coworker of mine, Maxi Bach, used to work at Harmonix. They also worked with Gabe Cazillo on Ape Out, which was the last game by this pairing, and also Bennett Foddy is involved. But this, like, from the moment they announced this game, I was like all about it and very excited about it. And this demo, fairly short, but I will say it gave me the taste I think I needed of it.
It's very silly.
Yeah,
it's
profoundly.
The part that was interesting to me, I think it's actual Bennett Foddy is their kind of guide in the demo, right? Kind of pops in here and there to kind of usher you along a little bit.
Very New Zealand sounding person.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very silly. I think I got a good sense of the controls and how I'm just going to flop around on the ground quite a bit.
Yeah. It's not hardcore QWOP. I will say that.
It's not?
No, but it does require balancing and nuance when you are playing the controls.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get a walking pace with a little practice pretty early on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As long as there isn't an obstacle in front of you, yes.
As soon as you hit anything that is like a half an inch off the ground, then you are running into trouble. But
that's fair. I guess I was kind of hoping this was going to be QWOP or getting over it level of hard.
You tumble quite a bit.
Yeah, you'll fall around a lot, but it also doesn't seem like a game that's that bent on punishing you, because the whole point is they are delivering silliness to you wherever they can.
I was really hoping for something where like even just like successfully ambulating at all is some like huge accomplishment that will take a while to master, but apparently it's maybe a little more forgiving than that.
I'll say this. I fell on my face the first 5 steps I took. Every single step led to me falling down. So
yeah, but you get it after a while. The problems wind up being when you have to go vertical or
sideways.
Or if there's a narrow path in front of you, and then you have to really watch your footfalls, right? Because, again, I did roll down a mountain after climbing it up quite a bit and was like, oh my gosh, am I going to really try and get back up this thing? I don't know. Also, it's just very silly.
Yeah. Again. I mean, you play a guy who is, seems like heavy social anxiety, lives in their parents' basement. Parents seem like they were about fed up with him. He gets sucked into the television one night. Whether that's a dream or not, who can say? But he wakes up in this outdoor environment, and there's only a couple of like vaguely friendly New Zealanders wandering around to try and help him, and he's just like, I don't want to talk to any of you. I'm just gonna go. Like, it's a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't want shoes. I'm good.
Yeah, barefoot's kind of my thing. It's fine.
It's good. I'll just hold it.
There's actually a decent amount to find in that demo. Like, it kind of ends at a certain point, but they're like, hey, you can keep climbing around here. Maybe there's some other little nooks and crannies you want to find. They're there.
We didn't even talk about Peak on this podcast, which we streamed.
Oh, yeah.
We can save that, but like, I don't know. I'm very primed for this style of like here's an environment we're going to make it very hard to get around in.
Yeah.
You need to overcome these controls and really get your head around how to like nuance or how to like finesse the mechanics, in order to make it through this.
Peak is the 3-player. 3-player? Is it?
Yeah, I think it goes up to 4. It goes up to 4. Okay. It's from the developer of Another Crab's Treasure. It came out on Monday. We played some. We should maybe stream that again next week. I'm not going to let that mountain defeat me.
3 to 4 player multiplayer co-op mountain climbing survival game. Where you have to worry about things like hunger, stamina, status ailments as you're trying to climb a mountain. Proximity chat, don't get separated, don't leave anybody behind.
Yeah, but the climbing is very physics-based is the thing. It's
and
like
stamina-based.
Like, you're very much thinking about like routes up the mountain, like how much stamina is it going to take to get me to the next ledge kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I would say like biome-based, like you kind of like hit like different biomes, like, oh, here's the thorny, poisonous biome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway, I'm into games where like just getting around is the mechanic or is the obstacle these days, and like baby steps. I'm looking forward to baby steps like a lot since they announced it.
I still am. Like honestly, like now that I've put hands on it and I kind of understand how it plays, like I'm still very excited about that one. One of my favorite games of the last several years. Like
I didn't touch this demo because I want to just go in fresh when it comes out because it's not that far off now finally.
Yeah. Did you ever play Ape Out?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a cool game. That game is Overhead, right? Like
that's an overhead action game, yeah.
Somewhat different thing.
It's very different for the most part, other than maybe playing around a little bit with physics and like weird audio stuff.
Baby Steps comes out September 8th. And
thrilled for that one.
PS5 and PC. All right, lastly here, Alex. Dead as Disco?
Dead as Disco. Not a lot in this demo.
Okay.
This is probably the shortest thing, least substantive thing that I played, but I did think it was a really cool concept. It is a brawler. It is a music-based brawler. Stop me if you've heard this one before. But it's one of those things where it's like you are doing the brawling, but all the hits are in time with the music.
Sure.
And at least on the Steam version, you are able to import your own music, it seems like.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's just checking the BPMs, I think, of whatever it is you upload, and then it is sort of like mapping the pace of the level to that.
All right. Okay.
How do the hits match up with the music?
It's just so here's the thing. It doesn't seem like it's a rhythm-based game. It seems more like the way the animation and the movement is timed is to the BPMs of the music.
Does it feel off?
It did not feel off to me, but again, there was not a lot in this demo. It was honestly, it felt more proof of concept than it did full-on demo.
Okay. Interesting. So I wonder if it like queues up button prompts or like
yeah, you might just be sort of like queuing up attacks and then it's just kind of moving it with the pace of the music.
Within a couple of milliseconds or something.
Yeah, not a lot there, but stylish as hell looking, and I like that it has that music import feature. I have to imagine the console versions will not have that, but they should, but that's not how we do things anymore.
Right now it just says on TBD on PC for release, so maybe that's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah.
That's a later on problem. That's cool. Dead as Disco.
I did also touch that Ninja Gaiden game very briefly, the new side scroller.
What'd you think?
Perfectly cromulent.
Ragebound?
Yeah. Seemed like a completely solid tribute to old Ninja Gaiden.
That game looks cool. I didn't get a chance to try it out yet, but that seemed neat. Sometimes the demos, they linger for a bit, so you can
I think all the ones we've mentioned are still technically available. Like none of them have been shut down.
Yeah.
And the ball pit one, actually, you're like I think we said this, but your progress will carry over to the final game.
That's cool. I actually just played some of that ball pit last night. I mean, Ragebound is, I think it's the end of July, so that's coming out pretty soon. All right. I think that's going to do it for the stuff we played. If you want to see us, check out Peak. That was on Monday's stream, so you can go see that. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. There's some news to take care of, explore, venture into,
delve down into.
That's right. Go deep into this news. We're gonna get there right after this break, so stick around. And we are back, and we have some news here. First story coming in from the Caravella household, It appears as if Hollow Knight has been beaten. I'm getting this in. It appears as if Hollow Knight has been beaten, and Vinny defeated the maybe harder optional boss part of Hollow Knight. So big congratulations to him and the family. And
it's great that we're hearing this over the news, because he would never brag about it. Like, he would never bring this up. He would never call attention to it.
He's very humble. Wouldn't want to say that it took him fewer than 30 tries to beat that boss. It was a real pain in the ass. But he's just that good.
That's what our sources allege, anyway.
We can't really verify that.
Yeah.
So we'll check in. No questions are being taken at this time. I don't want to hear bullshit about there's more bosses to beat and they're even harder. Sorry, he doesn't. Is what the news story says. So.
Yeah, we'll relay that info to him eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll find out somewhere. Moving on to the other news. This just in. He has not beaten Claire Obscure. And also it says suck it.
Okay.
It says he's just having a good time doing a lot of the side content, and we'll get to it when he wants to. There's a lot
of video games, man.
He does not care if he is over leveled. Also, he's just having a good time.
Vinny, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think putting the fingers up to the ear thing really plays on an audio podcast.
It does for me.
I appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah. On the outside of the headphones, because I'm getting breaking news in my earpiece. Brad Shoemaker, there are other bits of news out there.
Yeah, there's some stuff. It's the week after Summer Game Fest. Most of the news got announced according to various marketing plans already.
That's right. The news that they want you to hear about.
Yes. Anything that's happening at this point is probably less desirable.
Yeah.
They delayed that marathon, got that delay.
The one we were kind of maybe thinking might happen.
They delayed that marathon.
Brad, have they heard us loud and clear?
I think they've been listening. They've heard us.
Okay. What did I say?
What
was I telling them? I don't remember.
This has got to be the least surprising delay, certainly in modern games history, if not maybe ever.
I don't know. There's a couple of other ones I could think about, but this one, definitely after that demo, I think our takeaway was like, yeah, there's something here, but it could use a little spice.
This seemed so inevitable at a certain point when they lengthened the alpha, remember?
Yeah.
They actually pushed it out for another week or more. The response around that alpha was tepid, let's say. Yeah. I didn't hate the game. It played really well.
It wasn't toxic or negative or anything. It was just people, it didn't seem a ton of enthusiasm.
It was pretty negative in some places for sure, just not here. I mean, I enjoyed what I played of the alpha well enough, but yes, it was kind of missing something.
So this is coming out of Bungie proper, right? This is an official announcement.
Yes, Marathon Development Update.
What do we got?
Anytime you see something like Development Update,
you know what that means.
You know it's something relatively dire. It was supposed to be out on September 23rd. It has no date now. They say they will be back this fall with more information on their progress and what the new date looks like. The alpha test created an opportunity for us to calibrate and focus on what will make it uniquely compelling, and here are the things they are focusing on. Survival, upping the survival game, doubling down on the marathon universe, adding more social experiences. Those are the bullet points.
The big ones.
For what they're doing here.
What does that middle one mean?
The bullet points under doubling down on the marathon universe quite literally say increased visual fidelity, more narrative and environmental storytelling to discover and interact with, a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy.
Okay. So
I don't feel like I saw a lot of complaints about the art style of this game, but maybe
one big complaint.
One very notable complaint.
Plagiarism stuff aside, I mean, that's one thing that can be rectified and people can decide whether they accept the apology or not. But I'm talking just the general aesthetic of this thing is definitely somewhat a field of the original Marathon games, but also those games came out on the Macintosh in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're trying to wrap up a little bit of we have to redress a bunch of stuff with we are changing our art focus to maybe de-emphasize the fact that we are doing this because a bunch of the art that got into our game may have come from someone else.
Well, it was not a bunch. It was
the stuff that was reported on was just one artist. As far as
it was one artist. I know.
It was like some posters. It was some posters in the game. It was some ambient artwork on the walls. But this sounds like, and I'm not saying they're doing a complete overhaul of the look of this game, but I'm thinking more. It sounds like what they're responding to here is that this does not have the vibe of the original Marathon games. because it's much more colorful. It's got that like kind of flat look to it. Like it's very much not like 90s shooter.
Well, I think there's a couple of ways to read it, right? Like a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original story could be narrative.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
That could all just be narrative. The increased visual fidelity, the thing that I would take away from that was some of those menus were really disjointed.
Yes.
Like the pixel art in some of the menus and the de-res stuff was not visually readable. Might be visually exciting, but not visually readable.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's less of a changing the art style and more of just stuff like what you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's great because I would love to get more flavor in that universe aside from the the missions you take on, right? The corporate contracts you were taking on felt like that was kind of in the beta or alpha was most of the storytelling. No, go back in, take your time. What you don't want to do is release this thing that relies on a player base to be engaged early, right? And not your best foot forward. So
I mean, not to put the cart before the horse here, but some of the speculation I'm seeing now is, does this game come out or not?
Oh boy. Oh, that's rough.
Which, like, if we were in a pre-Concord world, I don't think anybody would be saying that.
Yeah, especially for Bungie.
But given the way that Concord went, and knowing that Sony went and axed a bunch of the other live service projects that they never even announced that were in the works, like the stakes for their live service stuff to hit have to be incredibly high at this point.
Super high.
I actually wonder if, like, you could maybe see a world where that fall update is not, hey, we're coming out in February now. It's, hey, we have decided to end development. Like, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope
not. It is not impossible.
Maybe there's also a world where that fall update is we've switched some directions around, and now it's a different type of mechanic in the game, which is a big shift, to take your game. But
not insignificant,
but maybe that extraction shooter loop is just not the thing right now. Maybe.
Yeah, although again, like I came out of the Arc Raiders alpha, like rabid to play more Arc Raiders. So like you can definitely still do that game type well.
Oh yeah, but that thing's, I'm with you. That thing though is dripping with atmosphere, and there's a tense discovery aspect in Arc Raiders where you feel like you're really just kind of picking through that world, and that was not in Marathon.
Yeah, Marathon felt a little more arcadey, I guess I would say, or like just sort of in your face action.
Totally.
Like all the danger in Marathon comes from people who have played more than you and are better than you.
Yeah.
Sniping you before you even know they're there, like not from the environment as much.
Yeah.
So like, this upping the survival game, more challenging and engaging AI encounters. Actually, that does sound pretty crucial because I did find the AI in that alpha to be pretty bland to fight.
Yeah. More dynamic events.
Yeah. More rewarding runs with new types of loot and dynamic events. That also sounds good.
Yeah. More chance for cool shit to happen in a run.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, for sure. And they also, so under social, it's just a better player experience for solo and duos, and also proximity chat. Which, with apologies to your vMix setup, like everything is prox chat now, which like good.
People said that when we played Peak, the way Peak implemented it did not make them sick or have them turn off the stream with special effects. And, there's reverb in places. And sometimes I think the stereo panning can be a lot for people.
Yeah, I think the thing Peak seems to do is just have a really high floor on the fall off over distance. Like it felt like when we were way more separated than we ever should have been and still been able to hear each other, we could still hear each other. You know what I mean? Like they were just sort of artificially elongating the distance. You can still hear each other hollering at you.
A little boosty.
Which is less realistic, but maybe more usable.
Until you hit some threshold, and then it was...
Yeah, eventually, we were separated, and also that game gets weird when you split up.
Implement EAX.
There was that point where I climbed the mountain without you guys, because Will told me to go on, and then I got to the top, and then a zombie ranger, zombie scout troop leader spawned and beat me to death.
Yeah. We could only hear your faint screams as you fell down the mountain.
The game is interesting. Anyway, I don't know. I hope I would love for Marathon to be good.
Same here.
I hope they get it there.
Next story you have here is about Xbox and their new partnership, but maybe...
there's nothing new about this. I thought it was kind of a strange thing to even do this until you get into some of the nuance of it's just like a 1 minute long video from Sarah Bond at Xbox. about
maybe
like,
there's a little nugget in there to
yeah, there's like some detail, but even this stuff is things that have been rumored heavily, but now that they've said it, it's more official. Like what is the title of this YouTube video? Xbox plus AMD powering the next generation of Xbox. It's supposed to say, hey, we've entered into a deal with AMD,
right,
to make the next Xbox. Like, oh, right, same company that has made the last 3 Xboxes,
right,
or at least the graphics, if not also the CPU in the last 3 Xboxes. The key parts of her wording that actually matter here are: we've established a strategic multi-year agreement with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles. So like that actually is a bit more interesting than, hey, they're just making the next Xbox, because that does imply that maybe there are further handhelds to come, and that in fact maybe there is a handheld version of the next generation Xbox. Like, that actually seems like the smart play there is to, if you're going to do that, you need to build that in from day one, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you're, instead of your Series S and Series X, like, you know, like your handheld and Series X kind of thing. It's like, let's make the lower power version a handheld.
You got to play your games anywhere. Everything's your Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the compatibility is actually going to be there. I still think it would be crazy ambitious to ship a whole new next generation console and also a handheld that runs all the same games. That's like a tremendous technical challenge these days, but maybe. But everything's getting so scalable now. Not to get all armchair developer here, but like if everything under the hood is getting so scalable that maybe that is actually something they can start targeting.
Brad, you're forgetting the power of enhanced AI. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I'm always doing that.
Like, real talk though, like, let's fucking even stop calling it AI and just be like, hey, machine learning upscaling, like the actual meat and potatoes, proper
what it's
use,
actually doing,
like proper use of machine learning hardware to just like upscale images to get better frame rates and stuff like that would be absolutely critical in getting a handheld to run the same games as a next Xbox,
or to at least appear to be running it. You know, like to give it the look of you know, Microsoft has been and Xbox have been trying to figure out how the AI is going to mesh into their ecosystem, whether it's machine learning or generation. You know, they are out there. You remember when they had that whole retro games thing, or the old games are going to be powered by a generative AI, like generating the frames.
Yeah,
for
I mean, that stuff. So, yeah, I tend to just discard that stuff as like
labs.
We have to be talking about AI because everybody is talking about it, and our board is going to be mad if we're not.
Totally.
But the upscaling and just the proven technology, you know, like stuff like DLSS is just a proven bedrock tool for game developers these days, and like that's the kind of stuff that would be crucial in these next consoles.
So, Brad, in this story though, whatever you're playing your Xbox games on, they intimate and they pretty much explicitly say you will have access to other stores on these devices. That
was the other thing. It was portfolio of devices, meaning there might be more than just one new Xbox. There might be a handheld, etc. And the other one is, where is the actual wording here?
Well, they're also working on those like partner device things, right?
Well, yeah, that they don't even really get into that. I mean, that the Xbox, our Ally, is that's coming out this year. You know, that stuff is definitely happening. What they're talking about here is much more bespoke. Like we are participating in the development of the chip, and we'll have this thing built to our spec. I'm trying to find, here it is. Okay. They're describing this as a platform designed for players not tied to a single store or device.
Okay.
So like this is a thing where they are both talking about the next Xbox console and also saying like, hey, it's the stuff that's been rumored for a while. You know, it's like the next Xbox might let you buy games on Steam and run those games, or Ubisoft's store of the week, whatever they're calling it. You know what I mean? Like, but this is the first time that I think an executive from there has come this close to just saying that outright.
I mean, it's pretty explicit, right? I mean, they're basically saying, yes, you will be able to have other stores on your platform. And some of this has been rumored. They rumored for a while, and there was some, I feel like, talk in the back rooms about Microsoft and Xbox backing Epic in their fights as they were seeing which way the wind was blowing with the Apple Store stuff, right? Like with the iOS stuff, and what that means in terms of being able to have exclusivity and not be able to, and let other people out into the walled garden go outside, right? Like if you're like on a platform, can get money from here and there? What's the legal challenges here? So they seem like they sided on the open ecosystem.
Yeah,
side.
Which, makes perfect sense in a world where they are a fairly distant third place in the hardware race at this point,
Yeah.
Like, if they had the number one platform, they would be completely on the other side of that. They'd want to keep people inside their walled garden. But because relatively few people are there,
yeah,
the path they have chosen is to try to get people onto their platform by offering competitors experiences there as well.
Right.
Well, not only that, I mean, they are putting their games in other people's gardens, right?
And
they want to collect
with great regularity now.
Yes,
and they want to collect, as much revenue as they can when somebody buys the DLC or Battle Pass somewhere else.
Like, credit to them, they have chosen this course and they were going like full steam ahead or whatever on it. Like they're not half-assing this effort
for as long as they can. Basically, like, is this their last? If this doesn't hit on their next generation of hardware, you think there's a very long talk inside Xbox about hardware? Probably,
but I also like the sound of this is making me think more and more that the next Xbox is like only going to be somewhat recognizable as an Xbox to begin with. Like, I'm actually starting to think maybe this means the next Xbox is more akin to a Steam machine, which doesn't currently exist. But do you remember Steam machines?
Yeah, I do.
Like, where it's probably still going to look like an Xbox, like the form factor and the industrial design is like, oh, this is a video game console, but like under the hood, it'll have a friendly controller-driven UI, but it is going to be much more Windows-like in terms of being able to install other software. That it's like, I don't know that we will get to the point of other companies making Xboxes as well necessarily, but it will just be
not out of the realm of possibility.
Like it will just be another hardware platform on the ladder of Xbox devices that have various levels of capability. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like what you're talking about are people trying to install Xbox OS on their home-built PCs.
That is exactly it. Is like, I don't know if they'll ever quite get to this point, but it's almost like, hey, you can buy our all-in-one Xbox that also runs Steam and all this other stuff, or you could throw a computer that you built yourself into your entertainment center and have almost exactly the same experience.
Right. At least on first party for games that'll be, and third party stuff. Yeah, if you install your Steam client through the whatever app store they're going to have, and
that's how it's starting to feel like it might shape up to me.
I wonder, because I do wonder when they talk about this AMD deal, if that device that you're talking about, not the user made device, will have a custom silicon that can match PC specs in a way that make it compatible with those things. Or like, do you remember the early I think it was the Steam Deck stuff, Steam OS, you couldn't get it, you couldn't put it on like a machine. It needed an AMD processor, it needed specific hardware, and I think now it's less bound, right? Is that true?
I think that's correct.
I think now you can get Steam, you can put Steam OS on other stuff.
The actual like SteamOS image is still very tied to the hardware that's in the Steam Deck.
It is.
Like, that's why there's all these I
thought I remembered them saying they were trying to broaden that though.
Not really. No,
okay.
Valve is very much still supporting the Steam Deck and partner devices, but there's Hollow ISO, which attempts to take the actual SteamOS image and like put NVIDIA drivers in it. And there's stuff like Blighted that is just more built as a Linux distro, but it still builds all the SteamOS like stuff in there, so it just kind of works out of the box. And
the
Linux world is weird, but there are multiple options for getting a SteamOS style experience on a PC these days.
Okay, I didn't realize you still needed third-party stuff to kind of squeeze it onto AMD.
There's been rumors or expectations for a long time that Valve is going to release a proper version of SteamOS for your computer.
Yeah,
but that has not happened yet, and I'm not sure if there's like
demand.
No, absolutely demand. There's huge demand. Like, in the world where people fucking hate Windows now in a way that I have not seen since the Microsoft with a dollar sign days of the 90s. Like,
pretty
there's
intense
massive demand for a proper Valve-made SteamOS that works on any desktop PC.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
But I don't know if there's any actual evidence that that's happening or if that's actually just a lot of wishful thinking. But you see a lot of people going like, oh, I really want to ditch Windows, but I'm waiting for like Valve to put out SteamOS for real. And we'll see what happens with this next Xbox being a computer or not. Like, there are still, not to get too deep into it, there's still some like fundamental architectural differences between consoles and PCs in terms of the way they're like the memory is architected and hooked up to the CPU and stuff like that give consoles big advantages in performance that if you just made a thing that is just a PC, you're going to lose that. So I don't know where they'll fall on that whole thing. Like what that box looks like is going to be extremely fast. It's going to be like one of the most fascinating console launches to date.
But again,
just in terms of where they land on where it's going to exist on that spectrum,
I think it's again just worth thinking through in the thought experiment. You know, their first party offering, which we've talked about this before, especially as we talked about stuff with like BDS and all those things that Microsoft and Xbox are a part of. They have such a broad development team. They have so many first party teams making so much stuff that is now being developed to be transported to other places, right? So even if you're developing, like you said, Brad, with the internals of a closed system to get performance boosts and stuff like that, they also have to worry about getting it to run on a PS5, possibly getting it to work. I mean, they definitely get it to work on PCs because all the first party stuff comes to PC. I don't think they do anything that's console locked, right? First party?
No, they haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I mean, they're doing that work already. They must have a lot of internal development in terms of making sure this stuff runs outside of their Xbox. And I guess if that continues, you're right. It could be a really interesting take on what their next hardware is. But the store stuff is a big deal. Saying that whatever it is, you'll be able to bring in other storefronts in there.
That almost sounds like that just means they are giving up those console specific hardware designs and the advantages that come with those. And because otherwise, are they going to get, like, you can't have Steam on a box that's like an Xbox that doesn't run 90% of the games on Steam unless they're ported, right? We're getting into we're really getting into the software weeds here.
Mm-hmm.
But like what that thing looks like and is, like you can't just run Steam on a console out of the box just because it's an x86 CPU doesn't mean you can just install Steam and run the games as is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe, but compatibility layers are all over the place these days. I'm just rambling here.
It's interesting.
Trying to think this through in real time.
Yeah, right.
There might be some compatibility translation layer stuff that lets a lot of the games on Steam,
kind of like Steam OS,
right? Kind of just run, like without much modification. I don't know. Like what a game console is going to look really strange in 2 to 3 years. I think, at least on the Microsoft side.
You're just going to stream all your games over your connection anyway. All right, next up here, this one was a bummer because this is where I have Beat Saber. But Brad, you want to talk about?
Do you have the PS5 version?
I do.
Because those are separate, right? I remember.
I believe they are separate versions.
When I got the PSVR2, I bought it.
They put out a separate PSVR2 version of Beat Saber, right? You couldn't.
I didn't have it before, so I'm not even sure.
Or was it an upgrade? I can't remember if you could maybe just pay a fee to upgrade the PS4 version to PS5. I can't remember.
All I know is I bought the PS5 version of Beat Saber.
Well, I hope you like the songs that are already in there because they are ceasing support for Beat Saber on PSVR 1 and 2.
This one, and by support they also mean new content and basic. I mean, they say that you'll be able to play your
existing
old songs.
Stuff, yeah.
New content ceases immediately. Like the final song for Beat Saber on PlayStation has already been released at this point. But then they are also dropping support for multiplayer in January of next year.
This is kind of crazy, but also, I guess, not the most surprising thing in the world based on what little we've heard about how PSVR is currently doing. It's just, this is one of the most marquee things on VR, period. This is one of the games everyone who owns a VR headset probably has. Like,
it is the game to me. Like, at this point, I think Beat Saber is the most universally popular VR game.
I think you're right.
Like,
it's the one I demoed PlayStation VR 2 with to people.
Like, I cannot think of a more VR first sort of marquee experience for VR.
And it's good is the thing. Like, it is a very good one.
They have The Greatest Showman on that soundtrack. It's a fun song to play on Beat Saber. I don't know. This makes me bummed out for a couple of reasons. One, the Beat Saber experience. I haven't gone in and bought new songs in a while, but I did spend money on Beat Saber. Usually it's around the holidays I'll go in, when we have family and stuff over. Because again, it is hey, everybody can put this on and they get it. And it's room scale and it's fun and I clear the room out and people have a really good time playing it. But like you guys are saying, if Beat Saber couldn't make it work for some reason or another on the PS5 or on PSVR 2, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Like how healthy is that? Because it's probably worth mentioning, they're continuing to support this on the Meta and across other VR platforms.
Yes, the game's not going away on VR platforms where it is more popular.
Yeah.
I assume, Alex, you tell me you worked at Harmonix. every song they license to put out for this game, like there is additional contractual stuff around each platform that it's coming out on, right? It's like I assume this is a like, hey, we're not selling enough DLC on the PlayStation platforms to make it worth continuing to include those platforms in the business deals we're making.
My guess, and this is a total guess based on where things were at when I was still working in that space, is that they probably had a blanket deal that was for all platforms, but at a certain point, the development resources needed to make sure that stuff was compatible with PSVR. Probably that's where they decided to pull back, because I think you could continue to make that DLC and probably sell enough of it to justify it. But there is development that has to go into making sure that version works, that it's platform compatible, etc. And maybe that's the back end where they are trying to say, hey, this is just not worth it for us anymore.
Yeah, like definitely just on a tech end, like supporting each additional version of the game takes more resources as well. They are not shutting down the ability to buy the existing songs, it sounds like. Like you can...
Yeah.
There's no information in here that says, hey, you can only buy songs on those platforms through such and such date.
Yeah.
So, like, what's already out there, it sounds like, will continue to be available for the foreseeable future.
If I had to guess, they probably signed deals for X amount of time for those songs, so there's just no real point to pulling them down because the rights have not gone back, or, like, they have not had to renegotiate those deals. So, yeah, it makes sense that the stuff they've already released would just be there in perpetuity until those licenses expire.
Like, people on the PS5, at least they've got that adapter now, so they could move to PC with it, but it really sucks for people who have bought all the DLC on a platform that is not going to get any more of it,
I bet there are people who play Beat Saber all the time on their PS5, and like that's on their PSVR2. I'm spitballing here because the information isn't reported, but maybe it's a weird case where Sony wouldn't budge on the margins for purchased DLC within their platform, and the MetaQuest store. I assume they still have a separate store, and the Steam are giving them a better deal, and it's not worth like Alex said, the development time. If you're, I don't know, I'm making this number up, but if somebody's taking 30% of it or whatever, right, on every transaction.
Yeah, I forget what the splits were on like Rock Band stuff, but you're not that far off.
Maybe
I think it was like a 40-30-30 split, if I remember correctly.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. So maybe it doesn't make sense. It's a shame. It really is a shame. It's a great game.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was the developer acquired by somebody?
I don't know.
They may have
Sabers
been
out there.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. This is an interesting indicator for where things are at with VR right now, because I think where Beat Saber goes, so goes VR, honestly.
Yes, Facebook. Okay, oh god, that was 6 years ago. Yes, Facebook did buy the maker of Beat Saber.
Oh, maybe that's another reason.
In 2019.
Yeah, maybe they want to lock it up more exclusively.
I don't know. I think
they wouldn't do the Steam stuff though. It was purely about that.
Yeah, no, I think it. I mean, and also like they definitely want to make as much money on VR as they can.
Yeah.
The way they have bled money on stuff in that space.
That's my thinking. Like, if the financials were working, they'd find a way to make it work, right?
Yep. Right. If they felt like they were still going to be making good money on that long term, they absolutely would not have made this move.
Okay. Speaking of making money, Borderlands 4, will they, won't they charge $80?
Feels like the answer is no.
Okay.
It feels like the most Randy Pitchford situation ever to kind of step in it the way he did with his public comments and like whip up this whole
good fucking reason.
Whip up this whole hubbub around a situation that ended up not even taking place. I mean, I guess at least good on him for being honest and saying, hey, I don't know if it'll be 80 or not, and it's actually not up to me, and then it turned out to not be. Like I at least assume he was being honest that he did not know for sure what it would cost.
I mean, it was a little bit of a word salad throughout before we got to look.
From
I really
him?
don't have no idea.
No.
And frankly, I think the whole thing just started from people asking him. Like there was no official sign it was going to be 80 until I think people started like tweeting at him, going like, "Hey, is it going to be 80? Because other things are now."
I can't remember how it all started. Was it the thing with the real fans will pay the money?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure all those questions only came up because people started directly asking him on Twitter about the price. Like it never would have been a subject around this specific game if people hadn't come to him asking.
Well, they've said it will not be.
Anyway, it's going to be $70. So did we talk
for the base version?
Did we talk last week about Outer Worlds 2 being 80? Did we say that on this podcast?
I don't think we did.
But that quietly came out of Summer Game Fest. Is that Outer Worlds 2 is Xbox's first $80 game?
Oh, I don't think I caught that either.
Yes, that is a thing.
That's unfortunate.
For again, like a base version.
Of course, they had said that a while ago. They had said like, "Hey, I forget what was their last $70 game? I forget what it was." But they put out a number of games this spring, like Avowed and stuff, and they had said a flat like, "Hey, our future releases will be $80 kind of thing."
Yeah,
and that's that is their kind of next big future release.
So this is going to be $70. I'm sure they will have their super duper fun $150. Was it $150 collector's edition? Now I'm just seeing the price now.
Yes.
130 super deluxe, 150 collector's edition. So keep it at $70 for the base and just pump up that collector's edition.
Well, the collector's edition does not include the game, to be clear.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, that's a thing, man. That's been going on for a while now.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Yeah, like
one more time.
A lot of these super expensive collector's editions do not have the game in them these days, and that's not just a Take-Two or a 2K thing.
I'm sorry. One more time, my good ears. You're saying for $150?
Well, it's because it's because it's full of manufactured goods like statues and.
Yes, I see this Echo 4 figure, but like
trinkets of various.
Not even a code for the game.
No, you buy the game separately. That's been going on for a while now. Like Bethesda's been doing that. If I'm not mistaken, you can see it right here on GameStop in the lower right of the image that shows the big Echo 4, which I guess is the claptrap.
Yeah.
Set of 4 double-sided lithograph art prints, Echo 4 figure with LED lights, cloth map of Kairos, shift code card, vault symbol necklace.
Fantastic.
Game sold separately.
What are we doing? Wait, this is not an edition of anything. This is not an edition. This is a statue with some other stuff.
It's been several years since I remember the first instance of this happening. Like it might have been pre-pandemic, actually.
Why is my outrage always so delayed?
I don't know.
Delayed rage.
It's because you don't buy $150 collector's editions that don't include the game.
I would if it were like Mass Effect or something, but I would have been outraged and gotten the game.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but okay, so the $130 one is just
I believe that one
with digital stuff.
I believe that one. Yes, that one does include the game, and I assume. I mean, that probably has like the season pass that'll have all the DLC attached to it and stuff.
So if as Randy says, the super fan, you are in for $280 to get all the digital goods and the physical goods.
Yep, $220, right?
Well, it's $130 and $150, isn't it?
Yeah, $150 plus $70.
Oh, I meant no. I want the game and the season pass.
And the season pass and everything. You're talking about the one. I see what you're saying. Yes, yes, that is in fact, I suppose, the case.
Good gravy, man.
Some people really like Borderlands.
No, I'm not. Look, love it. If you sold me $150 Mass Effect trilogy with a sick ass Normandy model and whatever, a lithograph and Shepherd's dog tags or whatever other garbage you want to throw in there, sure, fucking throw me a code for the game.
Okay, in fairness, I don't know how much of this is GameStop's categorization versus the manufacturer, but I don't see the words like collector's edition anywhere on this product page on GameStop.
Okay.
Like I'm seeing, collector's box.
Okay.
Collector's set.
Okay.
And bundle are the descriptors for this package that I'm seeing. And like nowhere do I see the words like collector's edition. So
okay, so maybe this is misnomer in some marketing materials.
This is I guess they finally dropped the type of nomenclature that would imply that it's a game. Like,
yes, they should, I mean? Which they should.
Like this is in the collector's box section on the GameStop website. It is described as Borderlands 4 Echo 4 bundle GameStop exclusive. So Echo 4 bundle of goods that are Borderlands 4 related, but they're not pitching this as, hey, it's the collector's edition of the game, but no game.
Okay.
Like it's pretty explicit that this is a collection of other stuff.
Okay. I'm way more on board with that. If you just want to pay for your statue and not saying this is an edition of the game, that's fine.
Yes.
All right. That's the news. Oh, look. Nexus Mods got bought. I don't know enough about Nexus Mods, and I know enough that I don't know enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we all know enough that we don't know enough, that there is what's going to happen there. That's for the people who probably know much more about Nexus Mods. Because for me, I go there when people say there's a cool mod for this game you guys are playing on Nextlander, or when we were at Giant Bomb and like that kind of stuff.
I think a lot of our Mass Effect mods came from there.
Yeah. But I know there was some drama around there over the years, but I don't think any of us are clued enough to speak intelligently about it.
Here's what I do know, and I'm not an expert on this by any stretch, but there were some periods where people were putting up particularly shitty mods, and the people or specifically the main person who ran Nexus Mods and his moderation team put the kibosh on that at various points and said, we want this to be an inclusive and welcoming place. We are not going to let you do your extremely racist or homophobic shit on here.
Yeah, so like that's not bad drama, to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying the drama. Like,
because there are scenes, there have definitely been some factionalization among people who use Nexus Mods about like, should that stuff be allowed or not? Again, I'm not in the weeds with that stuff, so I can't tell you where that stuff shook out, other than the original owner seemed to hold fast to that stance pretty much the entire time he ran that site.
I remember looking for mods at one point and seeing people be like, I'm not posting my mod on Nexus Mod because they're policing Nexus Mods has changed. So
what's the anti-woke mod hub?
It's
I'm sure it's out there.
I can't say it publicly.
If you try to go to it, your computer will catch on fire.
Like what is the internet's premier repository for clean faces mods?
I don't know. It's
my
not
basement.
So yeah, I got a memo, or I think a blast went out that they have sold, and I think that's.
I think at this point you can say we don't know enough to say whether this is definitively a good or a bad thing. Like, we all know that new ownerships can always cause chaos, and who knows which way the wind will eventually blow. The one thing that seems to be universally understood is that the person who ran this site was very tired.
That's what the statement seems to say.
Yeah, so they needed to get out of doing that.
Reset Nexus? Neomod.
We're not doing any of this. We're not doing a single bit of it. No. No. I deny this. I deny this, and I deny you.
Yeah. So that's less of a reporting on the story and more of a public service. If you're in that scene, you probably have your own opinions already.
Do your own research.
Yeah. But that happened. It's a big deal in certain places, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I assume from reputation that it's probably the biggest mod thing on the internet. Like
the one I used,
the biggest repository. Yeah,
it's certainly the one I knew of first. You know, it was the first like durable mod community thing that I knew about years and years ago.
Yeah, so
I assume it's still the biggest.
I'm trying to think the last mod I got for there. It's probably something for Baldur's Gate.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, but also, like, I've downloaded maybe 2 things from Nexus Mods in my life. It's just not something I mess with much.
You're pure. No mods.
Yeah. And, you know, some amount of skepticism is always healthy around an acquisition.
For sure.
Because prospective owners say all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Before they have full financial control of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
But hopefully this plays out well.
We can only hope.
All right, let's move up into them emails. Email address is podcast@nextlander.com, podcast@nextlander.com. Brad Shoemaker, do we have any post-Summer Game Fest emails lingering?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
David from Manchester in the UK.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a bit out of the loop and just learned about the Persona 4 remake through a PC Gamer UK article with this headline.
Okay.
Persona 4 Revival is officially real, giving us our first look at 4K Charlie Tunoku in a remake with a very angry original voice cast.
Great. Aw, so angry.
Charlie is also referenced in the article alongside the canon names. Is it weird for you that a random joke name you came up with over a decade ago has become so widespread it's now basically the accepted name for the character? Also, dog, that was almost 2 decades ago.
Can I tell you right now, though, as someone who wasn't there, it's one of the best fake names anyone has ever come up with for a video game.
It's pretty good. I mean, other than the way that it tortures the Japanese language just a bit.
Look,
but other than that, but yes, that was almost 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Let's just be real here.
Was that 2009?
Well, maybe it was 9. Yeah, that sounds right. Actually, I was thinking it was 08.
Nearly.
That was not quite.
Look, it's closer to 20 years than it is 10.
It was not quite when we launched, but it's still getting there.
I think there are a lot of fans of the Persona 4 Endurance run, which is amazing. I don't know how widespread it all is or canonical that might have become. I always get a kick out of seeing it some places, to the point where sometimes when I see it, I misremember if we made it up or not. To the point of like,
yeah,
is that's not real, right? Do
you think it's possible that the people who were referencing it now just think it is canon and don't actually remember that it was made up?
No, there is a canonical name for that character.
It's not that.
It's not that.
No.
But I think that's fun. I think that's a fun thing. I think it's a silly name.
I think that and Sheik Zanzibar are the two greatest names Giant Bomb ever came up with.
There you go. I used to name all my characters in RPGs food. And that was
as in like names of food or literally just the name food?
No, just names of food.
Okay.
Like
my
tuna
name is
fish.
Food Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, silly name, great name. Charlie. It's old Charlie running around Tinoco. It's great. How do you say is there a better way to say tuna in Japanese? Is it just like, is it some kind of ahi?
Oh God, what is tuna in Japanese? I can't remember now.
Which is the spot. You don't have to.
No, I should know this because I eat enough sushi that I should just Maguro.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Maguro.
I always just think of Toto, which is just fatty tuna specifically, which is not quite the same thing.
Delicious.
It's so good.
Delicious.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fun. And to answer that question, a lot of fun. I'm glad people still resonate with that. I'm glad the people who 20 years ago maybe saw it it still resonates with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got another email there?
Yeah, sure. Here's a quick one. Michael from Los Angeles.
Okay.
How much does the controller factor into your decision about whether to play multi-platform games on Xbox or PS5? I'm fortunate to have both consoles and find myself playing multi-platform games almost exclusively on Xbox because while I enjoy the DualSense's unique features, I find the controller itself to be slippery and plasticky.
On the PS5?
Am I in the minority here? Would a DualSense Edge address my qualms? Have you guys ever touched a DualSense Edge? I have not.
I have not.
I will say the grippy parts of the plastic on my original DualSense, the one that came with the console, are starting to wear a bit, and it is getting more slippery the more I use it.
My I've never used the Elite or the Edge. Those are the fancy.
I used the first Elite, which was pretty good. I heard enough bad things about the Elite 2 that I never got one.
Same. I have an Elite 1, which feels like a piece of military hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, it really does.
It very much feels like a $150 controller or whatever. I've never touched an Elite 2, but yeah, I've seen no end of people talking about their Elite 2s like coming apart.
Oh,
like
that's terrible.
Having to be serviced or like parts breaking or whatever. Like
it was not as good of a build.
Yeah. And I've never, I would hope the DualSense Edge is also a very expensive controller. I would hope that feels suitably expensive.
Yeah. To answer the question here, no is the answer to that.
Yeah.
I have very little issue with any of the main like controllers, like even the new Switch 2 Pro controller. I would be perfectly happy playing just about any kind of game with that thing. I'm maybe a little more partial to PlayStation stuff just for D-pad use when it comes to like fighting games and stuff, but that's more of like a personal preference, not because I think it's that much better or different. I'm just gotten very used to using their D-pads in fighting games. But other than that, and the various bells and whistles that come along with the DualSense, I think controller really does not factor into any of my decision making. It's more what platform do I want to play this on?
Yeah, it never has for me either. I feel like I've heard this from people in the audience for like as long as I've been doing this, though. Like some people really do just decide, based on which controller they like using more.
I think it mattered more when controllers were more different.
Yeah.
When they were talking about the Duke versus the GameCube controller, you were talking about some real differences.
That was a serious decision.
What about that trackpad? What about that
that thing no one uses? The big dumb button they just press to bring the map go up?
This thing is such a waste.
What about it?
It had such promise once.
Nobody does anything with it. It is just a giant button.
Yeah, it's the map button.
Like, when was the last time you used a touch feature on the touchpad of that thing?
Like to drag? Not, I can't even think.
Like Witcher 3 had it figured out, and then nobody fucking did it. They used it for shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like swipe up, down, left, and right were all like different menu options. Like they were shortcuts to like the map or the equip screen or the whatever. You know, it's like that's 4 extra inputs you could be using for shortcuts to stuff that nobody ever uses.
I think it's funny, and maybe it's because so much stuff just goes to PC, even first-party stuff, that even like Sony first-party stuff doesn't even use it anymore. But maybe because it has to come to PC and you have to strip that feature out in the end.
Yeah, also I feel like people barely use the haptics or the resistive triggers on the DualSense at this point either.
Outside of Sony, yeah.
Those features just, yes, like Astrobot still used them and stuff. But
I have started using, it's funny, I will use my PS5 controller on the PC for Helldivers now. But I mostly keep an Xbox controller next to the PC for other stuff, but for some reason I will plug it in for there. I don't know why. I think all things being equal on the console side, I would probably go PC, as I think things last a little longer for me on the PC in terms of, hey, if I want to play this game in 5 years, I could probably just boot it up on the PC and don't have to worry about getting an old console out. But all things being equal on the console side, I kind of lean towards PS5 for some vibes reason. I'm not sure. It's something about the UI or the collection of the games, or just, I feel like if I were like, all right, everything plays the same, it's all the same. I think maybe I also know more people that play on PS5, like my brothers are in the PlayStation ecosystem this generation.
I have no real issue playing anything single player on Xbox outside of, current BDS considerations where I'm just not doing that. But like, as far as like, finding people to play multiplayer, it is infinitely easier to find people who have a PS5 at the ready than an Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I feel like I see more people just engaging in the PlayStation ecosystem online than I think I do on Xbox stuff.
Yeah, I think some of the ones who are engaging that Xbox ecosystem are doing it on PC.
That is without question. Like the player base is so much bigger on PS5 at this point. I definitely defaulted to PlayStation through the PS4 and most of PS5. Although since the rise of the like upgraded consoles, it's now for me it's really about whichever one. If I'm strictly on console, it's what has the best performance and the best graphics. Like let's go full Digital Foundry mode and look up which one is the one to get from because like sometimes that varies pretty wildly. Sometimes they're barely indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Like once the PS4 Pro came out, I played everything on the PS4, although I was doing that anyway. But then once the 1X came out, I started moving to the 1X for that 2 years that lasted, or whatever it was, 3 years. And now it's PS5 default absolutely because of the Pro.
But it's still the thing for people who aren't ridiculous humans like us who have access to all of these things. I still wind up in just a really more complicated than the person wanted to answer this question, which console should I get, right? And it's like, well, actually, I've got a 40-page questionnaire you need to fill out. Like, where are your friends? How much do you play? What games do you play?
Do your hands go numb when they vibrate, etc.?
Are you thinking about getting a service? Are you thinking about getting Game Pass? Are you thinking about getting PlayStation Plus? Are you thinking about this? Well, maybe you just want to switch. Do you like Mario games? Oh, you do? Well, then forget it. Just buy a Switch.
Yeah.
Then this solves the answer.
So I think Switch and a PC is the minimum, like you can play everything now.
The vast majority,
That's the, do you want to be able to play everything that comes out, build a decent PC and get a Switch and you're good.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty recent development, but that's way better than it used to be.
Yeah.
If Nintendo ever puts Mario on a PC, that's the end of video games, right? Like that's the fucking last seal has been unlocked and Doomsday comes.
Like natively on a PC?
I think Nintendo would sooner go out of business than put its games on a PC at this point.
Right, which I think would also signal that video games are dead if Nintendo goes out of business.
Or pivot back to playing cards or something.
Yeah, Hanafuda cards, they're the future.
Does not seem to be something they would be willing to do.
Well, we should wrap up. My final question.
Mm-hmm.
Mario on a PC or Mario on a third-party console? What comes first?
I think you broke me with that one. I don't even know how to navigate to an answer to that. I don't know.
They both seem equally impossible.
They do. Yeah. They really do.
I feel like this is like some kind of divide by zero question. This is not quantifiable.
But you know what?
You can't say one. You can't say one thing is less likely than another when both things are impossible. That's a binary state.
But impossible only exists where the Overton window exists. And in this case, the Overton window some years ago would have been it totally insane that Xbox games would be appearing on PlayStation. And yet here we are.
Or Sonic would ever be on a Nintendo platform, right?
Yeah.
So like,
or that Sony would be regularly putting out PC ports for their games. You know, like these were things that were impossible until they weren't.
It's true. Will we live to see Mario enter someone else's garden? We ain't got that much time. Humanity ain't got that much time. Brad, is that it for the emails?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. That's going to do it for the show. We're going to wrap this one up. I want to thank everybody for listening. We have the Watchcast continuing to truck along as we continue with Star Trek Season 2.
The wagon train to the stars continues on. To
the Star Trek. What is it? We got 6 and 7 coming up? No, 1, 2, 3,
7
4,
and 8.
7 and 8.
Yes. Cat's Paw and I Mud.
Great. Watching those tonight. I'm looking forward to getting my mud on.
It's another split, I would say. Okay. There's one that I think is pretty bad, and there's one, unlike Doomsday Machine, which was just a pretty great episode, there's one that I think is really good and really stupid at the same time.
That's my favorite kind of Star Trek.
It's very silly.
We had family over for a party on last Saturday, and I will say I think 50% of the conversation was Star Trek, the original series.
That's great.
Yeah,
we're bringing it back.
My wife's uncle and his son were there, and wife, and they were all big original series fans, and they knew the episodes before I could even say the title by just saying like, "Oh, we watched the one with the Commodore." It's like, "Oh, Doomsday." I was like, "Geez, that's slow down."
All right,
yeah,
it's impressive.
It was impressive, but it was awesome because it's it's a family party, and they could be you're making conversation, what's news and whatever, and just having a good time talking about Star Trek and silly stuff about Star Trek was a really awesome way for everybody to participate in the conversation because pretty much everybody there, even our kids, had seen enough to participate. So the Watchcast, bringing families together, one silly episode at a time.
It's why I started the podcast.
Yeah. What a benevolent podcast.
Definitely not just to shove the media that I like in front of you guys so I can turn it into content.
No, you knew. So that's over on the Patreon. You can check that out. That's the Watchcast, Star Trek Season 2, continuing along. How many episodes this season?
26, I believe.
So nowhere near half yet. About a quarter of the way through.
Roughly.
24.
24, okay.
Check that out. That's going on there. We'll have Never Been a Better podcast by the end of this month. We got our recording date coming up. We have Vinny and Mike and Vinny, Destroy the World. Get the billing right, Caravella. That is up on the Patreon as well, along with the Ramblecast. We'll have a Planorama towards the end of the month. We will be taking off in 2 weeks. We'll have a week off coming up. It's early July, right? I think is the first.
I believe it is the first full week of July. We are all off.
And then Brad, you'll be piggybacking on top of that for a little personal PTO, personal time off.
I think we're only going to miss one episode of the Watchcast during that break, but TBD, we will absolutely announce on the show what that break schedule will look like.
There you go. You can check out all of that stuff that we just mentioned over at patreon.com/Nextlander. There is a tier on there, Alex Navarro, that gets their names read on this here show. It is the Mysterious Benefactor tier. Would you do us the great honor of reading our Mysterious Benefactors for this week?
Okay. Our Mysterious Benefactors for this week are Scott G, Sean Miller, Support Your Local Pride Festivals, RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, Jason Grimm, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deirdre declares a happy Pride Month, Gary Peshke, Robert Fisher, tech.bunnycrimes.com, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. Thanks to all of them. Thanks to everybody for supporting us at patreon.com/Nextlander. We appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. We don't have anybody to take those spots. We're not out there inviting the fine world of advertising to come bully their way into our hearts and minds like we invite you to come join us. What I'm thinking about when I'm playing a game? You at home.
That's right.
I'm thinking about you at home.
All the time. All ads that we could be having.
All the time. If that's a little creepy, it should be. But I am thinking about you all the time.
Wondering what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm. Whether you're thinking of me. Whether you'll come back to me one day.
What are you doing right now?
What are you doing? Are you going to eat that sandwich you're making right now? Right now, as I'm peeking my head through your door. But I'm not doing that for the advertisers. No.
Did you know you missed that spot of food in your teeth? It's right there. You should get it.
I can get it for you if you want. Just open the door. You have to invite it. You have to invite a Nextlander in. That's the rules.
Especially if they're bearing dental floss.
We can't come inside unless you invite us in. No, thank you very much. And then thanks to everybody on this podcast where we do have dynamic ads. Thanks for folks who let us know if something gets a little out of pocket from the dynamic ads that have been happening. You could always email us if you hear something kooky going on out there.
Please let us know. We are still monitoring that stuff. It sounds like no more ICE ads at least, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and our ad partner was very responsive. So
yeah, they didn't fuck around on that.
No, they were like, whoa, whoa. So thanks there. Again, that's going to do it for this show. But like I said before, go check out Will Smith, Brad, and I playing Peak. That was a lot of fun. Like Brad said, maybe we'll go back to the mountain, try and tackle the mountain again.
Fucking didn't even get past Mountain 2, man.
Hell, Mountain 2 is pretty tough.
It's true.
And now we know a lot more. Maybe there'll be more mountains in the future.
I've had to resist playing that by myself, actually. I was like,
practice.
If we're going to play more of this, I should save it and let it be fresh. Let the triumph be real and not simulated.
Brad,
because I went and beat that game on my own, but part of me really wants to play more of that.
The interesting thing is the mountain changes.
It's true.
There's a timer on that.
It's like
mountain.
Every day a new mountain.
Yeah, every day a new mountain. That's life, baby.
Like that Sheryl Crow song, I think is how that goes.
Every day a new mountain.
Every day is a winding mountain.
We also air quotes beats. Who is Abby on Tuesday?
We saw an ending.
We saw the ending. Yeah.
What a dumb fucking game.
Thanks again to Abby Russell, the real hero, for staying overtime to see that one through.
Yes. Cheers to Abby. Jeers to Tang, who I will never let live this down.
Look, I like silly games. That one, though.
They shouldn't have done that.
Very silly. I think, what did you say again? They made it too easy to make
They made video games too easy. We have to start gatekeeping again.
They made it too easy to make games. And then on Friday, we'll be back. We're going to, like we mentioned earlier, play some Firebreak. So you can join us seeing that. We'll be doing it on, I forgot their terminology already. Level normal, but what's the upgraded missions in that thing? The severity classification?
Clearance yes. Level 3.
That's right. We'll be checking out clearance level 3. So if you want to see some high-level clearance level 3 Firebreak play, tune in on Friday.
OT clearance level 3.
Oh, no. When we get my machine. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I think that's everything, right? That sounds like everything. Thank you, Alex Navarro. Thank you, Brad Shoemaker. Brad, are there more things from the Summer Game Fest notes? Or
That's pretty much it for appointments I took.
Okay. That's it. Put a bow on it.
Yep.
It's done.
We did it. Everyone can relax at home.
No more video games this summer.
Decided to clear the slate this week.
There you go. We'll be back next week with more Nextlander podcast. See ya.